Go live. And we're
Hello there.
live. Hello. Hello everyone.
Right.
Hello there.
Hey. How does everyone do? Today, yeah,
Open up one.
we're gonna be talking we're gonna be doing two ECUMs in like 2 weeks in a row. That's like not usual. But yay. We're gonna be talking just about
Yeah.
media we love because yes, we
Oh,
love
yes.
these new MCU
Yeah.
properties. But first and
We do,
foremost,
yes.
first and foremost, Thuglas, how do you do?
I'm doing fine. It's a bit hot out there, but it's fine. It's
Good.
good. It's
Yeah.
been raining all month, so sun here and there.
Oh yeah, and it's probably like really fucking hot. Living
Yeah, it's
here.
35 degrees.
Yeah.
Um, so
S-
yeah,
So
pretty
yeah.
hot.
Yeah, so welcome to Ecum. Uh Today, well, we have two other guests. Thought that he'd be 30 minutes late and we have no idea where Nyra is, so that's fun. But but we're gonna get started either way, just talking about the some shit until we get started with the videos. And I was gonna say something and I forgot, which is not great. So, oh yeah, so Black Widow, that was a film that came out not long ago. Uh, I guess we're going from
That it
left to
was,
right.
yes.
Thuglas, what did you think of it? If you would like to share your thoughts.
So let me be clear. I usually don't give films 0 out of 10 because at some point there's at least one thing positive about it. There's nothing positive about Black Widow. Like, it's impressive because it's one of my yeah, it's a 0 out of 10. It's garbage.
Alrighty. Um, 10, what do you think of Black Widow?
Well, well. Sort of as Thuglas put it, it is pretty much as close to a 0 out of 10 as you can get in terms of MCU movies. Like nothing is well done. Like nothing at all. Like the action is just awful. Just not even the acting is really that freaking good. Just the only just it's all just bad. Like and none of it makes sense. Like it has some of the most obvious and egregious plot armor I've seen in my film watching career, which isn't that fucking long, so you can see why it's that bad. And just, it's all just so bad. Like the only positive thing is that it's made me want to watch more, listen to more Nirvana to get the taste of that fucking cover out of my head.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah,
that cover yesterday, it was painful to get through.
it
Because I had to
was
rewatch
visited
it
by a lot of.
yesterday. For to prepare for Ecom because it's been a while since I watched the film, so I needed a refresher. And watching that part was definitely the most painful. Even though the rest of the film is garbage, the rest of the film you can make fun of. That Smells Like Teen Spirit cover is just pure pain and suffering.
To slightly
Yeah.
to quote Jib, who isn't here. Now I know why Kurt Cobain killed himself.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
Starting with
sorry, what'd you say?
yeah, no, go ahead.
All right. Zod, what did
Just
you
thinking what
think
was
of
that
Black Widow?
I watched it earlier this week, I think. I can't remember. It's like a fucking haze at this point. Uh, I, I basically lost my shit several times watching it because the plot armor was just fucking ridiculous. Like, that's basically just a goal at this point. So you can just take anything and just fucking brush it off as if, like, a fly hit or something. It fucking hurts the MCU in more ways than one. Well, in a lot of ways. And yeah, it's just fucked the world building even more. So, just what we need. The acting, yeah, there's nothing special there particularly. There's only not there's almost nothing to appreciate really. There's just nothing. It's just fucking painful to sit through.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think there is an actual good scene in the film. There are good moments, very few, like 2 or 3 good moments that last like a few seconds. But like, as a whole, the film is just pure insane garbage. Like, none of it makes sense. The pure fucking plot armor, the film, it's really fucking impressive how much plot armor is. Like, more than anything I've seen ever. Um, maybe, hmm, hard to pick between that and A Quiet Place 2, but I think it even has worse plot armor than A Quiet Place 2, so it's pretty insane how much the film is just uh like trying to tell this grandiose story, which doesn't really make sense when it's considering like you're making a film about Black Widow. Um what you should do is just make a grounded film. Like, the film basically writes itself. If you want to make the film, just make the film about the thing in Budapest with Hawkeye that they
Yeah,
talk about in
yeah.
Avengers.
That was so easy to make a good film out of this. But yeah, let's be absolutely retarded and do some shit.
Yeah, it's really strange how the film it tries to tell this huge story, which even also makes even less sense considering it's set, in the last like 40 minutes of Civil War, which makes it like really strange timing. Like, a lot of shit happened in that small period of time, which I don't believe that happened. And also, the fact that they made retroactively both Civil War and Winter Soldier and well, Avengers 2012 in a way, even the first Avenger, they made all those films like make a lot less sense considering now they have a way to control minds that came from Hydra within Shield, which is like, I guess they just can't replicate what they did, and they didn't have any digital copies. It was all physical, and they burned out by fucking Red Guardian. So it's like, it's super dumb. Like, everything they try to add to like the mythos of the universe, it just breaks the film even
Yeah.
more.
Red Guardian especially breaks the Cold War due to being a super soldier, but we'll ignore that for now.
Yeah, just the fact that Red Guardian just doesn't win the Cold War for them, even though he's stronger than Captain America. Like,
Yeah.
Shield to replicate the Winter Soldier serum. They had to get it from Howard Stark, and even then it wasn't perfect because the Winter Soldiers, they defected. They went rogue, as we see in Civil War. But in this film, they created a super soldier that isn't volatile or anything. He's even loyal to their cause. It's like, wow, so this is
Yeah.
the best super soldier you could have ever had, and he's still fucking. They still didn't win the Cold War. It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Hold on. So people are saying you're kind of quiet. Let me make your audio higher, Thuglas. All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it should be fine now.
Okay.
And then we have shit like I shared it. Let me show it on stream because I think this is interesting to talk about. A rumor that hold on. Wilson Fisk is gonna show up in Hawkeye, so can't wait
Great,
for
fucking
that.
kill me.
Great.
They're gonna ruin, and it's gonna be fucking At least
Yeah,
Vincent
can't wait.
D'Onofrio is probably gonna be good, so yeah. But I don't even know how you'd implement him in that. It's really strange.
I'd rather have Hawkeye be good. Like, yeah, I like Hawkeye. Yeah. It'd be sad if he was ruined like everyone else.
Like, of all the villains to have in a Hawkeye show, why get Wilson Fisk? Like,
Yeah, I don't get it because it's not like like Wilson Fisk in the comics, he's tied to Daredevil and Spider-Man mostly, and when you get to the TV show, he's specifically tied to just Daredevil. So how are you gonna implement Hawkeye into it? Especially when Hawkeye has been like all around the world. He was killing the fucking Yakuza in Japan in 2023. It's just, I don't get how Fisk would work into the story. But yeah. And we also, well, we shared our thoughts last week about it, but Thuglas, what did you think of Loki?
It was. How can I say it? Painful. In one word. Agony. Absolute fucking agony.
That seems to be the consensus. I was talking to Nyra yesterday before we watched Black Widow, and after, and she's like, "Yeah, Loki's just pain." Like even after we finished watching Black Widow, she was like, "No, Loki's still infinitely worse.
So-
It's insane how bad Loki is."
To add a little context, so I started watching Loki at the first episode when it came out. So 7 weeks ago or something like that. Yeah, I started at the 10th minute marks because it was so retarded at that point. But then I had a genius idea. How about I binge it all in one afternoon? Ooh boy, that was unsuccessful. Let's say that.
Yeah, I did the same last week, watching it all the day before you. It hurt. It hurt a lot.
Yeah, it was
It is
It was-
really painful.
so bad.
Yeah.
It is so bad.
Oh, this is interesting. Apparently, Hawkeye is gonna premiere around the time No Way Home hits theaters because of the
Oh,
links between the two,
Great.
which is strange. Like,
Oh,
what links would
no.
there be between Hawkeye and No Way Home? But
Oh no.
yeah, this kind of
I
makes
don't
me think that
want-
Hawkeye is gonna be bigger
No.
scale than we thought. So once again, Hawkeye, a show that should have been just grounded, like a story that kind of writes itself. They're gonna fuck it up just like they did with Black Widow.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
So
Is that a challenge?
wait, are you guys all in the watch together?
Yeah,
yeah.
For
Yeah.
people here, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be covering a lot of videos today, and well, we're gonna be starting with a video from our dear old Cosmonaut Variety Hour, where
Oh,
he talks
great.
about Loki, and I may have heard a few arguments that he makes in this video that are kind of strange to say the
I
least.
watched it beforehand and went in for a ride. For sure.
Yeah. So, it's gonna be interesting.
Hmm.
Alrighty, let's get started.
This video is sponsored by Audible. Disney's Marvel's Loki is the third entry in the new catalog of MCU TV shows on Disney+. And while the shows haven't been bad so far, for some
Well,
They have hit. I'm
12
sorry,
seconds.
Cosmonaut. I'm sorry
12
to
seconds, it's
burst
all
your
it took.
bubble, but yeah,
Shows haven't been bad so far.
yeah. About that, I'm sorry, Marcus, but yeah, no.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Hold on. Let's see what he says.
people, they haven't really proven their worth yet. But honestly, Loki is the first of the new shows to actually be really, really good.
Just that
Yeah.
statement on its own, it
No.
kind of pains me very much.
And I liked WandaVision just fine, but it had the usual
Of course you
Marvel
did.
flaws that I've come to expect.
Of course you did.
Cool
Yeah.
premise, great performances from the main characters, and irritating side characters with a really lame B plot that drags the story down. And I'm not even
mean,
gonna repeat how
He's actually
Is this
right there.
your
Other than
biggest
the
problem? Yeah, but
other than the last episode, he's right in that part.
yeah.
much I didn't like the Falcon show. But I still saw the Loki trailer, and I recognized that it looked unique and fun, and thank God
Hey, WandaVision trailer looked unique and fun. Loki just
Yeah.
from the trailer you could already tell that the world building was gonna be shit because the world building the trailer itself already showed that the world building was inconsistent with Endgame, so which it ended up being. So
I'm not gonna lie, because WandaVision, I was more on board with it because of the aesthetic. It was more natural than Loki's aesthetic with the TVA and so on and so forth.
oh yeah, definitely. WandaVision is miles better than Loki. Even that last episode, which is insane because
Yeah.
that last episode was like the
Yeah.
worst thing in the MCU until Loki came around. And yeah, I can't wait till
Yeah.
No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness just make it just
Even
become
worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm ready for Multiverse of Madness. Should be another 1 out of 10.
I was right. It's because this show slaps. But before I break
You
it
say
all
so.
down,
Oh,
we have
it
a quick
does. Of
word
course
from
it does.
today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Audible.
Okay.
And at this
Oh.
point, it's no secret
yeah.
that I love this service. I've been talking
Okay.
about Audible for years, since way before I was even sponsored by
Okay,
them.
yeah.
Audible is, of course, the leading provider of audio-based entertainment, and I think
Weird
at
that
this
he's
point, most of
using
my ear
capture from the
activity
phone, but alright.
consists of Audible content. In the past year, especially, audiobooks have been
Even
super
when he's doing a
important.
fucking ad, he
Audible
just
is the
sounds so
only way I've been
pretentious.
able to enjoy the work
I mean,
of some
yeah,
of
he
my
sounds like
new
he should
favorite
die.
authors, since I'm constantly on the go. With Audible, I can always make a hefty dent.
Ooh,
in my audiobooks
I feel
while
like I
I'm on a
can
plane
yawn
ride,
this time
at the
around
gym,
because
or even
it's just
working at home. And
yeah,
now you
plain
guys can
boring.
get in on the action and start listening with a free 30-day Audible
His voice
trial.
is so
You get full access
boring.
to
His
thousands
voice
and
is just
thousands of
grating
all-you-can
with
listen
the,
audiobooks, original
you know,
entertainment, and
the
podcasts. All you
voice.
gotta do is visit audible.com.
Fuck, I just gravelly voice he makes. It's really, it really irks me. I don't like it.
You can also check the link in the description for all that good stuff. And as usual,
Yeah,
I
I'm good.
like to
Jesus
recommend
fucking
some
Christ, how long
audiobooks,
is this
and
ad read?
time I just have to recommend the Wheel of Time series.
It's been a
I
minute.
talked about it in my last
I find
ad
it
read,
funny
but
how
this
every
I'm
time
serious.
like,
This
I'm
series
pretty
is
sure
crazy.
Audible
It's
just
kinda
asks you
classic
to
fantasy, but with a
to recommend a
bigger
book
twist.
to read.
It's like
If you
Vedic,
like
yeah.
well-known tropes
Because every
being
time,
included, then I
uh,
think you'll dig this. If you ever went through Lord of the Rings and you were like, this is
Every
pretty
time
good,
the,
but
Well, it's supposed to
needs a
be
little
video.
more spice, then let me tell you.
Yeah, every
Wheel
time
of
they
Time
make
is
these
for
ad reads,
you.
they have
And I am
to
loving
recommend a
this series
book.
so
It's
far,
pretty
and
insane.
it's a pretty long
Vocal Fry,
series, so
yes,
I've been
thanks
taking
LTD.
advantage of
LDT.
Audible's
Yeah,
speed control
it is.
feature for the first time. If I just crank this bad boy up a little bit, I can shave a few hours off of my audiobook. The best thing about Audible is
Jesus
that you get
fucking
free
Christ, he's been
audiobooks
talking about
just
this for like 2
trying it
minutes.
out.
I
I've
get
got
it.
so many of my friends into audiobooks just on that.
Especially making a
deal
video here.
alone.
Fuck's sake.
And you literally have nothing to lose. So if you've been on the fence and you've been thinking about trying Audible, honestly,
Is this
it's
an
no-brainer.
ad
Just
disguised
go for it.
as a
So
video,
remember, if you
or
guys
what?
want to get in on this, you can
Audible
start
Shadow
listening with a
Legends
free
VPN.
30-day Audible trial.
The ultimate
Full
sponsor.
access to countless audiobooks, podcasts, and other original
Jesus
Great,
Christ.
Audible.com/Cosmonaut
Hey, he's
or
repeating
text
it, alright.
Cosmonaut to
Nailed
find
it.
Who are you?
to start your
I'm
free
Ray.
trial today.
Ray
As
Shadow
usual, I'd like to
Legends.
thank Audible for sponsoring
Hey,
this
okay,
video.
now we're getting into the video. 3
So
minutes
to start
into it.
things off, let me just
Yay.
explain how I
Thank God.
enjoyed this series. I didn't watch Loki week to week. In fact, by the time I finished my Black Widow review last week, I hadn't seen a single episode yet. I waited until 5 of the episodes were out, I avoided spoilers for a few weeks, and then I just watched it all at once.
Yeah, I
And I
don't know
did
how
the
he
same thing
avoided
for
spoilers,
Falcon,
but-
and I gotta say that I think it definitely helps with these Marvel shows. A lot of people complain about certain
About
episodes
that.
being weaker than
No.
Nothing helps
Fuck.
these shows.
No.
I mean, I don't think either way it matters. Like, the pacing is already really shit. Like, I just think
Yeah.
it may help when you're like watching, like, if you're gonna watch 5 episodes of Loki in a row, you're gonna watch 3 and you're like, okay, whatever, the next episode something's gonna happen. Because when you're waiting a week and then you watch 3 and nothing happens, you're like, wow, that was a week I wasted in my life. Then I gotta wait
Useless,
another week
yes.
to watch the next one, right? But like when it's in terms of like that, I get, but like it doesn't really help. I think with like it's gonna be shit either way.
Yeah.
I don't.
And it
I don't
was
understand how
shit.
this could help. Yeah.
than
It was
others,
agony.
But for me,
Absolute
this was
agony.
just like an extra long
Like that
Marvel
scene.
movie, so it kind of worked for me. I don't really remember any individual episodes because it's all one episode to me. And that really contributed to me liking this show a lot. I really, really enjoyed it, more than I expected to.
But how does okay, Cosmonaut? What the fuck are your standards?
think
You're like,
what?
so I watched it all. I watched all 5 episodes in a row, which means it kind of felt like a long Marvel film. Therefore, I liked it. Like, do you just like? Would you just like if a Marvel
It
film was
didn't
like
feel
5
like a
hours
film.
long? I guess. I guess that's his
It
standard.
didn't feel like a film. It felt like a prologue for Kang. Nothing else. Not about Loki, not about anything. Just
I mean, yeah, the entire show is just pointless
And
because it's not
me.
really telling a story.
end me, please. It's already so retarded.
Yeah, Jesus, this is some weird ass arguments.
Because as you all know, I love when Marvel does something new, which is why Black Widow and Falcon don't really do it for me. But this This is my kind of shit.
So it just has to be new. As long as it's new, you're fine with it.
Falcon and Winter Soldier was definitely new.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty different from the usual Marvel shit. Especially when you had episodes that
was.
focused way more on just character. Even though it made no sense, it is pretty different.
Yeah, even though it was complete garbage, but yeah, it was different.
Yeah, other than like John Walker, the entire show is just not make sense. But
And Zemo, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, Zemo was just not assassinated, but that's which is,
Yeah. He's not doing a lot, but yeah.
Yeah.
He's not
Not
assassinated.
assassinated, it's good,
It's fine.
Yeah, not getting assassinated is more than we can hope for from Marvel at this point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say in the beginning of the stream. I'm just 20 minutes late, should say it. Yeah, Jeb, he isn't here today. He's on Thumbcast talking about Spider-Man PS4. He betrayed us. So yeah. That's why Jeb isn't here. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, nobody notices. Jeb is just sleeping throughout most of ECUM anyway.
This.
Yeah.
This is my kind of shit. This is the most creative story that they've attempted in a while, and I'm glad that these shows give them room to experiment.
Wait, so they give so the shows give them room to experiment, but Falcon and Winter Soldier wasn't that different.
And I'd rather have them not experiment. Clearly, after all the disasters we've got, yeah, no more experiments. Shut it down now.
I mean, Loki's just kind of like they're trying to do Legion.
Oh yeah, Zemo kills Carly. Best character in the show.
Zemo kills Carly? Oh, Zemo kills Carly, yeah. Wait, no.
He's the best character. Isn't he?
No. He doesn't kill Carly.
I don't remember.
Carly's killed by Sharon, isn't he? Isn't she? Sharon shoots her, and and Falcon flies her to the and then he gives his retarded speech. Zemo kills the other super soldiers.
Oh yeah. I love Sharon all of a sudden. Thank you, Sharon.
Yeah, even though she's like a twist villain, which for some reason she just
is a bit retarded, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like why would she? But whatever.
Let's talk about the shelf. Without spoiling too much, this series follows Loki. Not the dead Loki, but the other Loki that hops out of the Avengers' custody during Endgame. He gets arrested by Time Police for breaking the timeline, and Owen Wilson
because they are the same character,
the timeline.
But yeah.
As such, this series features a lot of world building, which is actually surprisingly not that common in the MCU.
What? No.
What? It is common in the MCU.
Not only is
world building is super common in the MCU.
Yeah, not only is it not extremely common, but the world building in the show breaks the entire MCU. So like, what? This is retarded. What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just it features world building. It doesn't matter if it's good or not. Just
Iron Man 3 did world building better than Loki.
I just like imagine if you watch as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because like that film. Not only does that show have world building, but it actually has good world building. You'd be like, whoa, what is this? Why did I think Loki was good?
Finally, some good fucking food.
I actually think he wouldn't like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that much. I think he'd say like
Of course he wouldn't.
Yeah, he'd say the characters are like too like they make too many jokes or whatever. Yeah. Oh no, if he said one note, I'd murder him. Like that's the last thing he is.
Yeah.
MCU. A lot of the drooling fanboy idiots might be mad that the Infinity Stones are paperweights in this story, but to me it shows that the MCU is officially putting that storyline on the shelf, and they ain't gonna fuck with it anymore.
That's called power creep.
How you do it?
This is power creep. You're like, oh
yeah.
I guess
power creep. It's so great.
Yeah, this is this thing we've been fighting against for the past 13 years. Never mind that now. We have bigger fish to fry.
So the bit with the Infinity Stones reminds me of Dragon Ball Super. So at the beginning of the series, Goku and Beerus, the god of destruction, fight against one another, and they nearly destroy the universe. Okay, that was the beginning of the series. Goku, in the middle of the series, is like 10 times stronger than what he was against Beerus. So it's a bit universe destroying. It reminded me of this.
Yeah, I can Yeah, I get that comparison. It's just like I get like if you want to create a threat that is bigger than Thanos, like sure you can do that, but I just think making it retroactively mean that well basically nothing mattered
Meaningless.
because of the lack of free will and because well the TVA just controlled everything. That just feels extremely cheap. Like it's just so completely fucking retarded. Wait, friend said the description is outdated. It's not. The description says, today we cover a few videos about new MCU properties, Loki and Black Widow. It's not outdated. Friend, are you lying to me? Why would you lie to me?
Oh, hang
The
on.
law is subjective. No.
Like,
loads
yeah,
of loads of anime have power scaling issues and contradictions, yeah.
Jojo doesn't have them. Neither does Berserk. So go read those series.
Hey, Attack on
Now.
Titan doesn't have it. Though I'm worried. I haven't read the last
Yeah,
part.
no. Die. Because, oh god. Attack on Titan's ending is so goddamn retarded.
It has Southbound meme links.
Franz-
Oh, actually, yeah, I have. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Oh, yeah, no, never mind me.
Yes, that's not the
Yeah,
outdated.
I'm fucking retarded.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'll fix the.
I'm not there.
Yeah, I'll fix the guest links after the stream is done. But yeah, okay, thanks. Fran, yes. Thanks for not
Hello,
lying.
Dominic.
Oh, hey, Dominic. Hey, CGF. Loads of anime has
Oh, there you
just end sentence. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
That stuff's done. It's over. Forget about it. I very much
Forget. I can't forget about it. We spent 13 years with it, or not 13, 11, I guess, because Endgame is the last piece of it. But like, bruh, I'm not gonna forget about it. Jesus, dude.
Show the best.
Just
This
forget
entire
about the
movie
last
is-
11
is-
years.
This entire show was a consequence of Endgame. How can you forget the thing? How can you forget it?
Actually, yeah, Endgame is what causes this show to exist. It's literally impossible to forget it. The two are tied with one another.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
good
we have
point.
Alzheimer's. We're not going to forget it.
Wait, what'd you say, Zad? You cut out there.
Oh, fuck's sake. I say it's not like we have Alzheimer's. We're not going to forget this.
Oh yeah, it's like I get if you want to move on from that story, but like you still have to deal with the consequences of it, and you still have to deal with the fact that these stones still exist in the universe, and you're like, oh, they're pointless now. We use them as paperweights. That's not really great storytelling. In terms of like at
No.
least getting your audience invested in it, I guess. In terms of like writing and internal consistency, I'm not gonna say it doesn't make sense. Like it's possible for something like this to exist, but the fact that the TVA just doesn't make sense, and with that would mean that the fact that the stones don't work there would not make sense either. So it's pretty, it already
Yes,
like fucks a lot.
somehow the TVA doesn't have guns. Somehow. Some fucking how.
The TVA is the most retarded fucking, agency I've ever seen in a.
God contrivance I've ever seen. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're there to protect the time itself. Like the Time Lords are better than that in Doctor Who. It's pretty insane.
much enjoy the way that this show paves the way for new Marvel stories. My prevailing
It doesn't pave the
No.
way. If it didn't exist,
No,
literally
it
nothing would
doesn't.
change except for the fact that the characters would still have free
Kang
will.
exists.
I mean, yeah,
No,
exactly.
No, nothing changes
Yeah.
except Kang existing. Like, yeah, no.
Yeah, it's
It
because
doesn't change
like
anything.
the only thing the show does is be like, oh, so I guess they don't have free will because Kang, well, the Kangs are controlling the multiverse. But other than that, it's the same. So it's like, oh, whatever.
We can. This is a 4-hour introduction for Kang, which is pathetic.
Yeah. And then we're gonna have season 2, which I have no clue what they're gonna do.
way
Oh,
for
fuck's
new
sakes.
Marvel stories. My prevailing theory is that alternate realities are going to be the new main thing in the MCU. With
Really? Well,
Yeah,
what was the
Oh,
what made
right.
you guess? Maybe it was the film that's called Multiverse of Madness that's gonna come out next year. Well, Cosmonaut is
Did
something of a
Multiverse
genius.
of Madness really need Loki?
No, I mean it's gonna.
Yeah,
they're
we
gonna
agree
say
on
it
that.
ties into it, like because of
But
the
it
multiverse
doesn't.
shit, but it really doesn't.
with at least 3 of the upcoming movies dealing with reality-altering shenanigans in some way. And while I was skeptical at first, I
Shenanigans,
currently
you'd
think
call
that this
them
is
that,
probably an
yeah.
acceptable follow-up to the Thanos storyline. But everybody
You
always
say
talks
no.
about how each MCU thing lines up with the rest of the franchise. How does this show function on its own?
What? No, but we have to talk about how it functions with the rest of the franchise because it doesn't. That's like the biggest
Yeah.
issue with the show is that it destroys the entire franchise retroactively, and a character assassinates Loki, and Thor even in a scene, which is retarded, but you know, whatever.
It's part of a franchise. You can't just ignore everything else and just. Why?
It's
I guess
only
you
a
can,
sequel if
because,
you interpret it that way.
Exactly.
If only the TVA had guns and just melted the variant along the universe, the show wouldn't happen. Dude, the show wouldn't happen if the TVA was, you know... Well, the TVA shouldn't even
Smart.
exist in theory because of what Kang did, because of predeterminism. But I guess because the show tries to work with predeterminism or just determinism on its own, and it just doesn't make any
Well,
sense.
it doesn't work.
Yeah, like, because it contradicts itself so many times. We don't know actually how it works. It's just contradicting information over and over again.
Well, like the Marvel shows, this show serves as a character study for a character that we're familiar with, but we haven't gotten this much time with.
What? Okay.
We had a lot with Loki.
Yeah, let me think. We
He's
had
maybe one of the
Thor.
most developed
we-
characters in the MCU.
Yeah,
so
we had
yeah.
Thor, Avengers, Thor 2, Thor 3, and the beginning of Infinity War. Those are 5 films with him. Not as much time like in runtime, but I think the character writing that we got. Not just I'm not gonna talk about like how good it is, but I'm just saying like in terms of substance.
It is pretty good.
Yeah, the films in terms of substance they had more than this show had, because this show is kind of like just Loki exists and he simps for Sylvie. Like you can't really tell what Loki is in the show, especially when he contradicts so much of who he is in Avengers 2012, you know? So it's pretty I don't know if I'd call this a character study, especially when it's like he
No,
even
it
said that it's
isn't.
focusing so much on world building, because yeah, the show is focusing way more on world building than
And Loki himself, yeah.
yeah. Trying to
That's
keep
why I
into the
say
systems.
it's a 4-hour product to Kang. It's not about Loki.
Yeah, he was an actual character with an arc that was compelling. Yeah, and then this film was like, well, how about we make him see his life? That's the same thing, right?
Yeah,
And I've said this
exactly. Yeah.
I do appreciate this approach with these shows. I recently watched a few Marvel movies the other day, and Loki is kind of a butt monkey in all of them.
What?
No, it isn't.
What?
What are you talking about?
Cosmonaut, what the fuck are you saying? Loki's like the best MCU villain other than like Ego. What in the... No.
Infinity War Thanos is pretty good, I'd say, but yeah,
His plan in
no,
Infinity
Loki
War
is
is not great. His character
He's pretty bad in
Yeah.
in game. Yeah.
This is wow. Like especially when he's showing Ragnarok, which is like I'd say probably the best thing we get in terms of characterization for Loki. This is wow, insane.
But you know, he almost destroyed New York. But yeah, he's the butt monkey. Yeah, he's the butt of the joke. Of course he is.
And in his first film, he almost destroyed all of Jotunheim. So yeah, that's just
Yeah.
total butt monkey.
Yeah, of course.
He almost killed an entire race because his answer was why not.
Yeah. Murder is fun, right?
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't like killing people. Why not?
I don't like killing people.
But I like to tear their eyes off.
Yeah, I like to tear their eyes out. Yeah, if they lampshade that so much in episode 1, like they bring it to the attention, be like, see, you did enjoy this, and then they never bring it up again because yeah, if you did enjoy it, then everything you're doing with this character doesn't actually make sense. He actually does enjoy hurting people, but whatever.
He's usually
It's
punchline of a
it's
joke.
almost like it doesn't work.
That's not a joke. It's him checking if it's a projection, you moron. Jesus fucking... That's actually character work. It's the fact that he's actually there and
Yeah.
Thor doesn't trust him to be there. Like, they even do that later when he's gonna betray him after they get out of the elevator. And Thor is like, no, I've been able to pick up in her tricks. Like, this is not just a joke. Like that film, Ragnarok is a funny film, but like, that's all like working for character as well because Taika Waititi knows
Yeah.
how to write films. Loki almost
He
just
knows
read
how
a
to
video.
write characters.
Yeah.
Tone, I don't know. I have to rewatch it because I remember its tone to be a bit difficult. I'll say that.
He's not being beaten up by somebody. He's usually doing something evil or betraying someone. But as
Yeah, that's
Bug
his
monkey, total bug
characteristics.
monkey.
He-
Yeah.
And that's his character. Like,
That's
That's who he is.
That's who he is, exactly. He's the
Yeah.
god of mischief.
He's
Of
a
course, he's going to be
fucking
betraying
villain.
someone. He's always going to look out for himself instead of looking out for other people. Until Ragnarok, where he actually looks out for other people, though kind of in a selfish way. It's pretty interesting how Ragnarok works with this character.
I want to know what is Marcus's definition of villain. Just to know, yeah, what it is, because it's like he doesn't know what the word means.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing. He never explains his standards, so I really don't know. Like why he likes everything he likes, or like what he thinks makes a good character, a good villain, or whatever, or just a good plot in general.
Do the villain equate to Vegeta's character for him or something? Because, man, that'd be sad.
Marcus, what is a villain?
As usual,
Tell
with these
us,
MCU
Marcus.
shows, it made me like the character a lot. In this show, Loki has to
Why?
basically speedrun his character development because this Loki was literally just ripping a dude's eyeball out a few hours ago. He
Yeah, so you even acknowledge
Yeah.
it. Are you gonna say this is a good thing, Cosmonaut? Please don't. No, don't.
is not the nice guy. who
he's seriously
sacrifices himself
defending
for his
Loki
brother.
watching his
And
entire development on a fucking PowerPoint.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
right.
he is.
I just think this frame is pretty funny.
Normally, I'd say it's not a good idea to go backwards and redevelop a character.
Yeah, it is pretty
that
funny.
It is pretty retarded. Well, which is why I hope they
It
don't
looks
do with.
funny.
I hope they don't do that with Gamora in Guardians 3. Though I trust James Gunn to be like, yeah, this is a new Gamora, but like it's what they did with
Yeah.
White Vision as well. So
Am I the only one who found Gamora's and Peter's reunion of sorts in Endgame cringe as fuck? Like, yeah, of course, kicking in the balls, haha, so funny.
oh no, yeah, that's
Ah.
I hated that scene so much because Loki
Yeah.
could have just gotten out of the way or fought back, but he just stays there.
Yeah.
already got character development, but somehow it works here. Because this Loki
No, it
actually
really
has
doesn't.
more character development in this show.
No.
than
No, he
gets in
doesn't.
any
He
of the
doesn't
movies.
have
No.
any character.
What's his character?
No,
He
he doesn't
has no
have any
character.
character.
Other than simping for Sylvie, he has no character.
Yeah. And getting drunk because no, I have a character trait for him. Retarded.
I mean, yes, he is consistently retarded in this show.
Hey, it's well written if he's consistently retarded. You know.
Hey, consistency, the lowest level of
Yeah.
consistency you could ask for. Nice.
For Ragnarok, Loki just puts his dad in a nursing home and then he takes over
What?
Asgard, and then he lives on a slave planet with billionaires until he gets bullied into
No, you're.
Yeah.
Are you? You're describing events. You're not describing his
Oh.
character. Are you actually? Ooh, this is annoying me a lot because I love Loki in Ragnarok. He's great. His arc with Thor's arc is insane, like insanely good. I love it. Like that film. Like
Yeah,
the plot may not
me
be the
too.
best, but like, dude,
Uh,
the characters are great.
Nyra is coming, so yeah.
You can make any character arc look shit by describing it like this. What?
Yeah, like he's just describing events. It's like, imagine if I just said, "Oh yeah, Coulson is just a guy. You know, Loki killed him, and then he was brought back, and then he had to fight against Hydra." Like, that's just his character. It's like this is so
Yeah.
this is so diminutive of what his character is. And also, hi Nyra, how you doing?
Hi.
Oh, hey, Nyra.
Yeah,
How are y'all?
how do you do, Nyra?
I'm alright.
I thought you'd say you're not great because here you had to finish watching Loki today, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point.
I'm sorry for you.
Yeah,
It was. Oh god, that was.
We have a watch together link for you to join Nyra because we're covering Cosmonauts video on Loki.
I understand your pain, Nyra.
Oh Christ! I'll
do.
get in.
Yeah, he just defended the show by saying that the character writing for Loki is better than
It's
the rest of the
phenomenal,
MCU.
yeah.
Yeah, he said he has more character than
What?
in the rest of the MCU just in that show.
No.
About monkey.
Yeah, and then he described
were
Loki
bullshit.
in Ragnarok by being just he takes the throne and then he talks to a bunch of billionaires and then he's in this planet and that's it.
Yeah. It does nothing. Of course it doesn't.
Yeah.
To helping Thor, and
There's
even
no
then,
character
he still
with
betrays him
there's
and
no
comes back at the
development
last second to
with
help him.
with
This is
Thor.
honestly
No.
not a lot of growth or character development, but we are
What?
supposed to see him
What?
as
This is not growth. You just showed growth. You showed that he comes back to help. Are you?
Excuse me, what?
No, and especially considering he goes to destroy he goes to summon Fenrir at the end to not Fenrir, that big ass monster. Fenrir is the wolf.
Yeah.
Anyway, the monster to kill Hela, like he's the one who goes there. Like he
Yeah.
put himself in danger to save them. How is that not growth? Jesus.
He realizes his place isn't as the chief of Asgard, but as someone who protects his people in another way.
Yeah.
So yeah, he has growth.
Definitely, dude. That scene when they see his dad, their dad dying, and Odin says that he loves them and he calls them sons, and you see his reaction. It's like, dude, this is super meaningful. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus, I love it.
as, a guy. And of course, the greatest way to turn a character good is to kill him. On the other side of things, we have this Loki.
Look, he was already
not
good.
really.
He was
Yeah,
already
well-
good. His death is just. I think it just shows how big of a threat Thanos is. That he just
And
kills
now
Loki.
Loki changed to he would if it was 2012 Loki, he wouldn't have put itself in danger, but this Loki.
Yeah, if it was
after
2012
Ragnarok,
Loki, they'd be fine. But like considering his development, he tries to kill Thanos because he doesn't want Thor to die and the rest of his people.
Yeah.
Like, remember when he says that he's Loki, Odin's son, and he looks at Thor? It's like, yes, this is character. I like that.
Yeah.
I guess Cosmonaut doesn't get characters
Understand
unless they're
characters,
like
yeah.
explicitly stating who they are, which is pretty like terrible character writing, but whatever.
Loki, who has an entire series runtime to learn to be a better person. And it's much
But he becomes a better person by watching a slideshow of his life in the first episode.
Yes.
Like the rest of the show, he's not a bad guy. Like, remember in episode 3 when people were about to die in that planet, he's like, "Oh no, they're all gonna leave them to die."
No.
Yeah, and it feels like if it
Yeah.
was 2012 Loki, he'd be like, "Oh, they're gonna die. Whatever. I need to
Don't
get
give
out
a
of
shit."
here. I need to survive."
Yeah.
Because he looks out for himself. Ah,
deeper
And
than
he seems so much for Sylvie.
yeah. I hate how
Oh,
much he seems for
God.
Sylvie. Hey, we're gonna get you him defending the kiss. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Oh
he's
god,
going to.
no. No.
Be prepared.
No,
oh,
God.
you shouldn't betray people because that's not nice, Loki. In this show, he has to learn a little more. He has to learn how to
What?
love
No,
himself
he doesn't.
and understand what he can offer to people other than betrayal
No.
and mischief. And him learning how to
What?
love himself manifests in a strange but appropriate way. And it works really well because we've already seen Loki learn how to appreciate other people. Now we get to see another arc while still following him on this journey where he learns more about himself. I went from being kind of whatever about Loki to really loving him in this.
Kinda whatever. He's the
Oh.
like second best villain. Probably the best considering everything. Like how
Yeah.
I'd say the best. Yeah.
Maybe Ego is
Yeah, I was gonna say
better, I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ego, but Loki has more time for development, which makes you
Yeah.
like think he's a better character overall. Even though I really like Ego, but like yeah, so like
Well-
Loki's probably the best villain, and he's like I was kind of mad about him. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Show, and that's also very much attributed to Hiddleston's performance. He's always given Loki
Yeah.
100%, and you can tell
like
he's
the one good
passionate
thing in
about
the
it.
I
show.
agree with that.
Yeah,
I
the
agree with
acting
that.
in the show is
It's why
pretty good.
it's 0.5. It's why it's 0.5 out of 10 because yeah, the acting is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, especially I especially like Richard E. Grant in episode 5.
Yeah,
And he
me
has
too.
a lot of moments in this show where he just knocks it out of the park. There are other characters who are good, but one of them is going to be in this.
Other characters are good.
Oh.
I can't wait for him to
Yeah,
give the
don't
example,
worry.
but I'm sure he's
Kang
gonna say
or
Sylvie.
Sylvie. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It better be Richard E. Grant Loki because
Yes.
that was nice.
Classic Loki is best Loki. This
Yeah,
frame is
he is.
hilarious. Looks like a child, so happy.
Yeah.
But one of them is going to be in the spoiler section, and the other one is Owen Wilson. And a lot of
No.
Mobius. Hey,
No.
Mobius is the only character that actually has like character in the show, and it's because he has one scene
And it's
with
shit.
character. Oh yeah, it's shit, but he
Yeah.
actually has one scene where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from, and
But you
Episode
love
4.
Owen Wilson because he is Owen Wilson, you know. But yeah, it's a Jason Momoa case. Yeah, like yeah, you can help but like the actor,
yeah, pretty
despite
much.
the shitty role or the shitty character.
Pretty much, like I like the actors are all pretty good, but the writing
Yeah.
is really shit. So it's like kind of fucks it up.
Yeah.
Though I don't think Sylvie's actress is all that great, but you know.
No, she's not. Definitely not.
this show is just Owen Wilson and Loki talking in an office about world building and about why Loki is a piece of shit.
Big metaphor guy. I love it. Makes you sound super smart.
I am smart.
I know.
Okay.
So awkward.
Okay.
And
What
these
the fuck is that dialogue? I forgot about that. That was so awkward. That is like, what the fuck did that dialogue achieve in terms of character or plot? It's just,
Nothing.
yeah, that was so pointless.
Everybody is a
scenes are
cunt in this
just
show.
my
Oh yes, everyone is a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
favorite. I've seen a lot of people say that this show is boring.
It is.
And I'd say,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right, but I like it
What?
anyway.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Just
okay.
a
Well,
little
that was a
note on,
worthwhile
Mobius.
argument.
Just a little note on Mobius. Mobius is totally okay with sending people to Goliath. Yeah, he isn't a good character. He's like, oh,
I
when
mean,
you
well, that's-
picture it like this, yeah, of course it sounds bad. Yeah, sure.
Well, the thing about Mobius is that like he's super strange. Like he's okay with melting people, but when they learn there's being sent to the void of time to be eaten by Goliath, he's like, oh no, not that. It's like, how is
Yeah.
that any different? It's basically the same thing. Like these people are gonna be erased from time. Like they're gonna be they're gonna
basi-
die anyway. So whatever.
Okay, time to make an edgy joke. So, are you ready, chat? Yep. Okay. Here goes. So, do you know how the TVA can take anyone who diverges from their predestined paths? If a Jew was destined to die in Auschwitz, they're sent to another giant gas monster.
Oh my god. Yes.
Oh. Oh.
That is
much, yeah.
true. Oh no.
Now clap, chat.
Please clap.
Yes, I'm about to call myself out for being a fraud because I always complain about pacing, but I
Well, you are a
really
fraud,
like
so.
slow, boring things sometimes.
So, what? So first,
If you guys,
wait, what? I don't. Okay, so he said he liked the show because he watched it all at once, and that meant he was like a big Marvel movie. And then he said it was slow and boring, but he likes slow and boring sometimes. But I guess he doesn't
Sometimes,
like it
yeah.
other times, so that was fucking pointless. What?
Well, there's an example of slow and boring that he didn't like.
I mean, I don't get it. This is super strange. I don't get this argument at all.
It's just a strange point, yeah.
At least when the stuff is about characters that I care about. And
But you just said you didn't care about Loki before the show.
Yeah.
So you... Marcus, please draft your scripts for the love of God.
show does have some action, but a majority is centered around characters sitting around and talking about shit.
Yeah, it's extremely
No, you can
terrible.
clap, chat.
Like, it's
There's
retarded
literally
how...
one episode where nothing happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing happens. In episode 4, if I
3.
remember correctly.
Well, episode
yeah,
3 and
nothing
episode
happens,
6. Both of those episodes are
Yeah.
pretty pointless.
Episode 4 is pretty pointless too, I think.
Well, episode
Yeah,
4 they
it's
get
just,
captured and they get sent to the
To Shadow
the end of
Realm.
time, yeah, and they find out that the timekeepers that the timekeepers are fucking androids.
Yeah, but half of it is Loki getting kicked in the nuts, so yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
it's-
that was great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so cringe, so cringy.
very good use of the Sith.
Oh yes, Jamie Alexander must be very proud.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
better than the time on Agents of Shield.
Yeah, it just reminds me of how like, hey, really like you in Agents of Shield. Maybe if you had gone like a spin-off show with the Agents of Shield writers, that would have been good. But I guess you're relegated to
But
Loki.
you can't have quality in the MCU, so
Yeah.
you don't get to have fun.
Mm.
Go away.
The finale of this show is mostly just people talking.
Yeah, and it's terrible because it's like 45
Yeah.
minutes of nothingness.
And it destroys the world building even further.
more,
So
yeah.
yeah.
It's just 45 minutes of exposition, which destroys the entirety of the franchise. It's pretty
Yeah.
neat.
And I love this is my shit.
But you would.
Why? Why is this your shit? Like,
Yep.
I understand. Like, when you're watching Daredevil, I'm watching more for the characters than the action, even though the action is great, right? But when we have, because like episodes like Nelson v. Murdoch are probably like some of my favorites. Nelson v. Murdoch and like New York's Finest, those that are just characters talking. But the point of those episodes is that we're getting these characters to clash and to see how they understand one another, see how they could like create this conflict between them, to see different points of view, especially New York's Finest. And like the
Daredevil.
oh, kill yourself, you went in, you faggots. But anyway, the dialogue there is extremely well written because these characters have a lot of development to get to the point where we understand where both of them are coming from, either the Punisher and Daredevil, or Matt and Foggy. But then we have like Sylvie and Loki talking. Like, I don't know them, and they're just saying things, and it's like, I don't know. This doesn't sound like Loki from 2012, and Sylvie doesn't have any character. She's just a Mary Sue in the show, so it's just extremely pointless. Like, the concept of two characters talking is pretty interesting to explore characters. Like,
Yeah.
but the way they do it in the show, they just don't have any characters. Just usually either exposition or some retarded ass like annoying lines, like from Sylvie, who's just an annoying cunt the entire show. Loki's the anti-agent of Shield. Yes, that is the best definition of it.
I sent an image how you're supposed to do stories, in the chat. So, but nowadays stories just want to send films right into your face, like without any sort of nuance and subtlety. It's just sad.
Yes. Yeah, it's just relegated to like the cool set pieces and what the message it's trying to pass is, instead of just the actual writing.
Yeah.
Which, detracts a lot from the experience of watching media nowadays.
This show has a lot of spectacle. It has crazy, big, dumb Marvel monsters and space aliens, and it has a faux one-take action scene.
Yeah, that
Nah.
one take is just really strange because 95% of it is CGI. So I'm like, well, it is kind of impressive, but like, it didn't have to do a lot of it in camera. Like, I should be praising
It's
the
not
CGI
the
artists,
Battle of
not the
Cor-
actors or not the
it's-
director.
Yeah.
It's not like the Daredevil
It's not
one.
the
Or,
battle, and it's not even the Battle of Coruscant. Like, yeah, no, it's not impressive. I've seen better.
yeah, like we have that one in the Battle of New York in Avengers 2012, and that's so much better because it's
Yeah.
like we're going through all the characters and what's happening with them. This is just two characters running, and at some point or another, some extras show up. But it's easy to film these takes because, well, you have CGI in 95% of it, so the takes aren't even that long.
Terrible CGI, but yeah.
Yeah,
you
the
know.
CGI is even not great.
That was kind of cool, but it also slows down and explores the characters.
Yeah, when she doesn't fit.
That moment is still
Not bad.
hilarious. She just has a temper tantrum and creates a fucking explosion for some reason. It's so funny. It's so funny. It
Yeah.
like encapsulates her character so much. She's just some whiny bitch.
Owen, for all intents and purposes, is just a normal guy. But we get so much time to see how he feels, and we get time to learn
No.
about him. And at that point,
No.
he grows past the label of the cute MCU side character.
He doesn't.
No, he's just
Oh,
he's just a character that exists.
So, let me say this. Pepper, Bucky, Sam are all better than Mobius. Every single one of the secondary characters are better than Mobius. Like, there's no competition.
Yeah, easily.
Mm.
Dominic said in chat, those people really wanted to stop Loki and Lady Loki when their planet was dying for some reason. Yeah, I never got why they're doing what they're doing. It's like they just, oh yeah, you can't run away from us, but if we try to stop you, that means
And-
we can't get to the ship, which then means
And
we're
they
gonna
should
die.
be a
So-
non-factor too. The guards should be a non-factor too because they have super strength and magic. You know, like gods. I don't know.
Oh no, yeah, Loki and Sylvie should be easily winning against against guards, but whatever. They're never use their powers effectively.
Yeah.
And he turns into
Or
a
use
character that I want
their
to see
innate
more of.
strength for that. You know, yeah.
Wait, what?
They don't use their innate strength, but
Shit, you're
yeah.
fuck. I'm trying to juggle your audio. Hold on, I should be fine now. Anyway, video.
Grows past the label of the cute MCU side character, and he turns into a character that I want to see more of. However, this show isn't
Exciting.
perfect, but to get into what I wasn't a huge fan of, I do have to get into spoilers. So here's your warning. I'm not gonna wait any longer. Let's go. Alright, so anyway, this show has a romance subplot with Loki and his alternate self, Sylvie. If you haven't seen
Just those words alone, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so no, just no. Like it's another version of
is
himself.
Loki is canonically the most narcissistic characters in the MCU. Like, he fell in love with himself.
And it's not, well, that's kind of thing, because she's not himself, though. Like, she's not him. We know she's different. We've seen that she's different. She's like his sister. Like, they come from the same parents.
Yeah,
She's a sister, and it's super creepy. And
but
I
they
hate it.
are still very similar in mindset. I think.
A bit of it, sometimes. I mean, like, in theory, somewhat, but it depends, because the show just assassinates Sylvie in the last episode, and Loki
And
just...
it doesn't get to establish Sylvia and it's any character anyway. So you know.
Yeah, and Sylvie is just really... and Loki is just really contradictory to his character in 2012, and in this show itself, he contradicts his motivations a lot, so I really don't know.
Yeah.
Audible sponsored self-cessed. Oh dear God. Audible
Oh, I
approved
did.
this video. That's actually a good point. Audible approved of this video because they always have to watch the videos that they have sponsorships for.
And they said, yes, self-set is so great.
Hell yeah.
In the show that may be a little weird to you. And there are a lot of 16-year-olds who are mad about this for various reasons. Some
16-year-olds.
feel?
Wow,
Yeah,
that is
targeted
so
in-
condescending. A bunch of 16-year-olds are. I think everyone's upset over this because it's fucking retarded. It's
How does it
incest.
feel to be targeted at teeny?
You let your children watch this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh dear God, bunch of 16-year-olds. This is so condescending.
Some people are mad
Yeah.
that Loki isn't gender fluid. Some people claim he can't.
What? Some people. No.
What?
That was a weird moment.
Uh,
Stop. Some people were mad that he's gender. Who is?
Oh,
No, I think
yeah,
he said
oh,
people are
No,
mad
it's
that he
the
isn't.
anti-SJW
they aren't
crowd
mad?
is-
Okay,
is mad. But
First one that said
yeah.
they're mad that he isn't.
Some people are mad that Loki isn't gender fluid.
I think he said
Oh,
isn't.
but he is.
But he is a gender.
He's
Oh.
bi.
But he is. They have his file say gender
no.
fluid. I mean, which we knew he was gender fluid already because he can just change his appearance,
Yeah.
and that's what I
Yeah.
kind of understood that as the what they were implying. But either way, well, I'm confused.
Some people claim he can't be that queer if he
Mm.
kissed a woman, which
What?
is
What? Who says that?
What?
He can't be that
You
queer if
missed
he
off.
kisses the woman. We have like 3 bi people in this call. I'm pretty sure y'all would disagree
Oh.
with that. What the fuck, dude?
ridiculous. Or they think that he should have gotten with Owen Wilson. Or
Why?
they're mad because Loki
Oh,
is
Why should he have gone? No, they don't know. They don't
Why
even
should
like
he
each
with
other.
Owen Wilson? Yeah, no, they don't. They,
I mean,
they
he doesn't
may
like
claim
Sylvie as
they
well,
are
but-
friends, but they not. They are not. They
Some
aren't
people
friends.
don't count.
I mean, the show tries to imply they're friends for some
Yeah.
reason.
It does.
Okay.
It does state they are friends, but yeah, it doesn't work.
It's telling, not showing, and by what
Yeah.
they've shown, they're clearly not friends. But whatever.
Indeed.
committing self-cest by getting with himself. And let me just say,
Yeah.
I think we need to relax a little bit. I personally
No.
don't think the romantic subplot was
No.
handled the best, but it's not for any of those insane reasons. For
Insane reason. He kisses
Of course.
like pretty much
Insane
his
reason.
sister. No, that is insane. The show itself is insane. The reason isn't.
one, yes, it would be cool if Loki was gender fluid like in the comics.
But he is.
He
Whatever.
is.
Yeah, he
Cool if
is.
had a
Fucking
boyfriend.
is.
Did he just miss? Of course he did. He's Cosmonaut. What am I saying?
Gender fluid like in the comics. It would be cool if he had a boyfriend. But this
Why?
is a company that
Who
isn't
cares?
quite
Why would it be cool if he
Who
had a
fucking
boyfriend?
cares?
Like, I'm just like, who cares?
Who fucking
Boyfriend or
cares?
girlfriend, it doesn't change anything. His character is shit
Yeah.
in this show. I
If he
don't get it.
loved a male Loki, it would have been the same shit. It would have been exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
bad either way.
Yeah, if he had kissed Richard E. Grant, it still would have been terrible. Well, it would have been a bit worse
Yeah.
because we know that that's just a future version of the Loki we follow now, but, you know.
That would have been funny, at least.
I stand.
I ship Richard E. Grant with Tommy Dustin because yeah.
And
you
Nyra,
know.
you remember we were watching Black Widow yesterday, and Strike talked about Loki and Alligator Loki getting together.
Oh no.
I take it back. That's best ship. That is best ship. We
Yes,
stand
I
that.
stand those two.
Lucky.
quite sure how times
No,
they've introduced
Alexei
their
with
first
Loki,
gay
yeah.
character in a movie. I would be surprised if Kevin Feige even knew what the term gender fluid meant. If
Dude, did it's in the show, you moron! Jesus,
Times.
he is gender fluid.
It's
we are
tiring.
not being promised anything like this specifically, I think we need to chill the fuck out. Secondly, self-cest isn't real, because hooking up with your alternate self isn't possible, and it never will be. So we as a
Well, it is in this
society really
show.
need to
Yeah, I-
Mate.
Okay,
So,
Okay.
you know, killing
be
someone with
clear
a
about
portal
this.
gun is also impossible. So that means that we shouldn't talk about it because, well, it's never going to be
Yes.
possible in the real world.
using the force to choke someone to death is impossible, so we shouldn't talk about it.
Yeah, what a weird fucking standard.
do not have a moral foundation for it. We will never decide if hooking up with your alternate counterpart is immoral or not, because it literally will
is!
never happen.
It is.
Not
It's
only
literally closer than your sibling.
not only is it fucking extremely weird, it's the fact that
Not
she's
as
pretty
if-
much his sister. Like, they come from the same parents. It's super gross. Extremely fucking gross. Jesus.
And if you disagree with me, you can log off of the internet for a few weeks. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I've been
go
arguing
fuck
with a lot of
yourself. Wow.
people on the internet lately, so I needed to get that off my chest. But anyway, despite all this, I too was not fully sold on the Loki-Sylvie romance. Because I felt like it was just
If Alligator Loki Rule 34 ever becomes real, I'm blaming ECUM. Hey, Copwaizo. It's not our fault.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it's already real.
Probably, yeah.
I would be happy with that.
Hey, there's
I mean,
Miss
Miss
Minutes.
porn
Do
exists,
it.
so
Yeah, there's
Oh,
Miss Minutes
I would
porn, so.
definitely put to it.
You say blame, I'll say credit.
Melting an entire timeline is impossible in the real world. We can't view it on a moral level. Yes, like, by that logic, anything that happens on a fantasy and sci-fi, we can't judge morally because it's impossible in the real world. It's fucking insane.
kind of rushed. I get that they did as much as they could to get these two characters together in this limited time.
They did not. If they had, I would
They
actually have
didn't.
believed it.
no.
That'd be embarrassing if
It's
they tried
possible to do
harder.
a romance in 4 hours. It's entirely possible to do it. It's super easy because movies do it in an hour and a half.
Dude, we have Bly Manor with
But
Jamie
it
and
doesn't work.
Danny, and it's like one of the best romances I've seen in a long ass time, and they're really fucking great. And they did it. What, they had 9 episodes for that show. I think the ones they focus more on Danny and Jamie, like 4 and 4 and 6. No, 4 and 5. 4 and 5, I think. Oh yeah, so it's like no 4 and 6. Yeah. So it's like, with bruh, these characters are really great together. 4 and 9, I'm retarded. Yeah. So like their relationship is fantastic, but I guess you can't just do it in 4 hours. Like, this is the hardest they tried. It's like, wow, they're really not great if this is all they could achieve while trying their best, you know?
But as they talked more and I realized that they were going to be in a romantic relationship, I was like, oh, okay, well, I think we could have done it
No.
better. But I will say that by the end of
Yes.
the story, I'm glad that it doesn't work out for them because it does make the romance a lot stronger. There's
Yeah.
nothing better
You
for
don't know what
romantic
romance
subplot
is.
than tragedy. So in that scene where she betrays him,
No.
I was actually really into it. And
No. Oh,
You know-
you
Of course
would
you
you-
were.
You've
fucking
never loved
creepy
someone,
bastard.
Marcus. You've never loved someone before, Marcus. Clearly
Wow.
not.
Hey,
Because-
wow, why would you say that to me? That's wow.
Yeah, sorry,
Insensitive.
yeah. Cosmonaut, you never loved someone before. It's clear as day.
Yeah, this is super strange, dude. Like, and I agree, tragedy is really good for romance stories, but like, that's not how you do it. It's like, oh, she betrayed him. Why? Yes, because she believes Loki's gonna betray her. Why? Yes, because yes, and like, it's just Cosmonaut likes the concept, but the execution of it makes absolutely no sense.
I will say that conceptually, I do like the idea of Loki falling in love with another version of himself. Because not only does it show
Yeah.
how much of a narcissist he is, it shows that he's letting go of his selfishness by learning to put someone
How
else
is it
before
that?
himself.
How is
And
that a
What?
positive
You
point?
just said
How
he's
is
learning
that
to
a
put.
positive point?
Okay, so what? So you just said that he's such an egotistical person that he falls in love with himself, but he's so
And
he's
positive.
learning to be selfless because he's putting another person above himself, but he's not, because you just said they're the same person, even though we know they're not, because they are different. So what the fuck are you saying, Cosmonaut? Oh Jesus.
This
Yeah.
logic's like shit. What the
The
hell?
fuck?
And it is really,
Cosmonaut
truly
fuck his
heartbreaking
sister.
to see him in the finale begging for her to trust him when we know that this is the only time we've ever seen Loki tell the truth. I think
No,
No.
really? We've seen him a
No.
few times, yeah.
No.
Yeah, we've seen maybe in Ragnarok, like when he's talking with Odin.
Or when he talks to Thanos, he's like, "I'm Loki,
Yeah.
Odin's son." When he says Odin's son, I'm like, yeah,
Odinson, yes.
he's definitely not
Yeah,
lying
that's-
there. He's
That's the truth.
yeah.
Yeah.
And in the
He's
first
speaking from the
first
heart,
Thor
right
film,
there.
like he kind of just wants the truth from his father. So like he's not really lying in a lot of it. Like he does manipulate in a huge part because he wanted to get the destroyer and to kill Thor and claim the throne.
Yeah.
But like in a lot of it, he's pretty genuine. So this is just a lie. But okay, Cosmonaut.
I think that's a wonderful way to put a little bow on a Loki storyline. The romantic subplot does end up fixing itself by the end of this season, but I do think that it would have been better if they talked about it less. From the second these
What?
characters meet
You just said,
Yes.
but you just said it didn't work.
No.
What? I don't. What are you talking about? You're
I don't get
contradicting
it.
yourself, Cosmonaut. Let's see how
each other, they immediately start flirting, they start talking about love, they start talking about people they dated, and then the second
Yeah, that was weird.
That was weird, and that conversation doesn't last very long. They're talking mostly about Frigga, which I actually like because Frigga is a big influence in Loki's life. Not Sylvie's, I guess, because she was taken as a child, but
they get back, everybody that knows them talks about how much they're in love with each other. It's just constantly thrown in our face, and I think that romances need to be built up organically. A lot of work can be done in a romantic subplot without needing words.
I agree
I think
with
this
that.
is just a case where I would have liked to see more subtlety
wasn't
in
it,
the
my dude.
earlier parts of the story.
Yeah,
But as a
that wasn't
whole,
it.
the romantic subplot isn't the worst, but I do think it stumbles a little bit in the beginning.
I mean, it's not the worst part of the show, but that's a very low bar. But yeah, it is garbage.
Yeah.
But
Clearly.
I agree with some of what he said, that, it lacks subtlety and should have, it could have been done better, of
He
course.
doesn't know about subtlety, so he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about anyway. So yeah, no.
I mean,
Won't take any
if he wasn't,
advice from him.
if it wasn't incest or self-cest or whatever, then yeah, I agree, it could have been done better, but the best way to do it is just not to have done it at all, so.
Yeah.
But another thing
Yeah?
that's a little awkward are the other characters. The other TVA characters aren't nearly as compelling as our core cast. The Lokis are good.
I mean, this obviously. I mean, not that
Yeah.
just from a like from an obvious like filmmaking standpoint, you're not gonna have all your characters be as interesting as one another. You're gonna have your core cast which you're gonna explore, and you're gonna have your side characters, and the other TVA agents are the side characters. Like they have Hunter B-15, and she has somewhat of a character. Like she has an arc in theory.
No.
And it's like, well, she's the only one who has
She
character
doesn't,
other
but
than them.
yeah.
But yeah, but like she's the only one who actually like they think she has character, and like
Yeah.
that's it. Like yeah, and the rest is just characters that are on in the
That's
background.
about it,
Which,
yeah.
It's like Hunter B-15 represents the TVA agents, and Mobius is like higher up, but still not as high up as Ravonna. Like. So yeah, he's a part of the main cast. Like I don't know, this seems really strange.
Ravonna is so bad as a main villain. Like, dear lord.
Yes.
She's so bad.
She's terrible. And then in the final episode, she's like, only one person can have free will. But then when she leaves Mobius, he's like, where are you going? She says, in search of free will. So,
Yeah.
Owen Wilson is good, but the Cloverfield Paradox lady and the Lovecraft Country lady didn't really hook me. I think it is hard to give everyone equal treatment as far as character development goes when we spend such a long time on the main cast, but I feel like as one of the primary antagonists, I didn't really connect with the Cloverfield lady that much.
I mean, you're not really
shit.
Yeah, she's terrible.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hey, Thought. How you doing?
Hello. Hi. How's it going?
Could be better. We're covering
It's
Cosmonaut talking
swimmingly,
about Loki, so
Oh, you waited to cover Griffin for me then.
Yes, I waited for you. The link for the Watch You Guys is there if you'd like to join.
I got it. I'm in there.
Oh,
Yep.
nice. So yeah, we just got past him defending the self-cest, which yay, and then
that is not the end of that we will hear of today.
Yeah, it isn't.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Yay.
We don't learn very much about her beyond her blind obedience to her masters. And these characters
Because
just
she's
don't
a
have the
dumb
energy that
character.
I'm glad that's the first thing you say. Yeah, she is really
Yeah.
retarded. She's a terrible character.
Yeah, she is.
Uh,
Oh, you get it, Strike.
rest of the characters have. I felt
You know,
myself
I really
losing
do respect Marvel for making a independent black woman the one of the villains of the show. That just quite progressive.
I agree. Hey, they had a strong black woman as one of the heroes as Hunter B-15. She has like 4 lines in the entire show. So, you know.
Just a question. Why is she fat?
Well,
Because
you see, the TVA doesn't have a gym anywhere.
yeah,
Oh, that's one of the things that I hate about the TVAs. That, like, each agent is a variant, but like, why would you get these shitty variants? Like, you just said you've taken a bunch of Lokis. Just use Lokis for
Yeah.
for your own benefit.
brainwash them and then you got your army.
Yeah, like they said they
Take
got
a lot of
like
Thanos-
Titans,
Thanos'
vampires, and
yeah.
whatever the fuck. Like, yeah, use them. You don't use human variants. Like, humans are weak, especially these humans. They're like physically weak. Just like they're very thin, or she is just fat. It's just like, no, pick better people.
Use Thor's, use Captain America's. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do something.
Or at least, you know, use the
you-
Infinity Stones you've collected. Because, like, you have all of the Infinity Stones in the fucking drawer. Just use them.
Hell, use an army of Red Guardians. The whole
Yeah.
fucking-
Yes.
And just use that.
Ugh.
Once you've got a fucking
Interested.
debate, they just lose every fight they have.
Your expectations of Marvel are too high. You expect them to be competent or give some sort of thought process for how they
Yeah.
implement their characters and villains. It's
Yeah.
it's too much to ask.
Of course, silly us.
Of course.
I'm sorry, Marvel.
Easy
It
mistake.
took the focus away from the Lokis, and it does.
Like,
happen
what is this
often.
1970s ass office? Like, come on.
Oh, this is when they actually travel back in time to show the
Ravonas.
Ravona.
Yeah, it does not matter. If you go to the TVA, they use the same
Oh, yeah.
old ass looking technology.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
Yes.
They do.
the continuity is remarkable. It's like they're pulling the worst from each
Yeah,
timeline.
I actually love that you thought this was the TVA because it says so much about the show.
Yes.
And it does happen often enough to kind of muddle the pacing of the show. Like I said, I love slow and boring stuff, but only when it involves characters that I think deserve the slow, boring scenes. However, a lot of these
But
criticisms
I
have a
thought you
little
didn't
asterisk.
like Loki.
Yeah, he said he didn't like Loki
Yeah.
before the show, but that's just I'm just confused because he's like, so I like slow and boring, but only when it's characters that deserve to be slow and boring. But like, I
I
don't.
mean, the statement makes sense on its face.
I mean,
What is the
somewhat-
standard
like
here?
I don't get the how you can say like that you like boring stuff, because for me, when you have something that is boring in quotation marks, like for the general audience, but I find entertaining, I wouldn't say it's boring, just slow. Kind of like yesterday we were watching A Cure for Wellness, me, Thought, Evan, and Southpaw, and like me and Thought loved that film, and Southpaw and Evan thought the film was pretty long and kind of boring. And we're like, yeah, no, because we were the story is pretty compelling for us. And so, like, I would say the film is slow but not boring. Like, I just find it really strange to call something boring, but like on a positive way, you know?
Well, yeah, boring
Hey.
isn't really something you can like quantify in like in actual scalable, observable level. Boring is just like a frame of reference. So calling something boring and saying you like it is a bit of an inconsistency, I think.
Yeah, but it's causing lots of
Thoughts,
inconsistencies there.
what is a boring movie that you absolutely love?
Blade
I
Runner
don't like any
2049?
boring movies because
Oh.
it might because it's boring. like
Yeah.
like I'm like that's exactly the thing though, right? Like if I like it, I'm not gonna view it as boring. Like
Yeah.
what's boring
Yeah.
to some people may not be boring to me.
What's a slower movie that then that
A
you
cure,
like?
a cure for wellness.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
Except
fantastic.
that,
Give another example then.
because yeah, give another.
Uh,
example, please.
Suspiria.
The 2018 version, right, that you watched yesterday.
Yeah, or I'm thinking of ending
Okay.
things.
Yeah,
Okay.
based.
Me after Loki.
Let's
Above
talk
them
about
because-
good things instead.
No.
I just
Different.
listed like 3 great movies. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. let's stop talking about Loki. Let's talk about these.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish we could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Gotta
wish
get.
too.
Hey, we're almost like we only have 3 minutes left of this video, and then we have 2 other videos. But
boring scenes. However,
Yeah,
all of
right.
these criticisms have a little asterisk above them because this show is actually getting a second season, and that's a first for these MCU shows. And I gotta say that I'm
No.
pretty hyped. For
Okay,
that.
so
So
but
bad.
that's the issue,
Okay,
right? And
Let
a
me
lot
stop
of
right there. Yes. Go ahead, Thought.
well, it's like a lot of shows do this, and it's kind of the excuse people make where it's like, whatever issues this season has will be solved in the next season, and then the
Yeah,
next
exactly.
season, and then the next,
was-
and it's like,
It was the same thing with Star Wars. You know,
yeah.
it was going to be fixed in episode 8.
and
was
then
going
no,
to
it's
be
gonna be
fixed
fixed in
in episode
TROS,
9.
and then it's
Yeah.
like it's all oh no, it's
it
all shit.
wasn't.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fixed by Mandalorian. It's gonna be fixed by my ass.
Book of Boba Fett, yeah. And it's all just like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it'll become good again at some point.
You know, I actually
At
do
some point.
believe all of it will be solved in the Dexter Jester solo show.
Yeah.
Of
Yes.
course.
About the
Yeah.
Finally, the Camino Dart will be explained.
Yes.
This is the first MCU show that I actually want to see more of. WandaVision was
why?
cute,
Of
but that
course.
story is over, and it's time for Wanda to
Boo.
go do other stuff and be in other movies.
I don't know.
Boo.
I could see more of Elizabeth Olsen in that.
I would too, if she was the villain, of course. But yeah,
I don't know, you could tell an interesting story. I mean, after that finale of season 1, I kind of don't want it. But
Well,
dig
yeah,
up
that's the
finale.
thing, though. It's like if they were to go back and just redo that one episode, the whole show could actually be kind of decent.
Yeah,
No,
no, we go from
it-
like a
it-
3 out of 10 to like a 6 out of 10. It's pretty insane
yeah,
how much
6
that
was
the
pretty
last
good.
episode
if
is
it
shit.
actually made Wanda into a villain, I would be down with this. It would
Well,
be
see,
great.
it's not even like they need to make her a villain. All they need to do is show her take accountability.
Yeah, just
That's it.
yeah, just
It's
have her
kind of-
acknowledge that what she's done is shit, and pretty much it.
Just let us die. Like, bruh.
You don't never know what you sacrificed for them.
It was a lot of fun, and it does offer room for even more creative storylines. Oh, and on the subject of later seasons, I just want to say that I love Jonathan Majors as Immortus, or soon to be.
Ooh.
I like Jonathan Majors. The character's shit, but I like Jonathan
I do.
Majors.
I feel
he's
like
fun
they
to watch.
wrote. I feel like they wrote the role for Donald Glover, but they couldn't get him.
Yeah.
I kind of get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kang the Conqueror. As the big bad of this series, he makes a huge statement in just one episode. His
What?
performance
What's
is
the-
fantastic.
Once again,
Oh,
Disney
no,
being
because,
Disney being the progressive masterminds that they are, and making a well-dressed black man the big bad villain of the next MCU thing.
not only that, but he chose to say he chose to not just kill evil Kangs and shit, but no, he chose to just kill everyone else, but one time, right? Yeah.
To talk about what Thoughts said, MAJ, I don't know what MAJ is, but often introduces mechanics that aren't explained until later seasons. So I think in that context, that defense could work. No, I agree that but it's the kind of thing where you're definitely teasing something for the next season. It's not just like, well, nothing makes sense in this story, and retroactively it's gonna be made better by later seasons. Like there's a difference. Like Attack on Titan, it has a lot of that where it's like
There's a lot of it, yeah.
yeah, it introduces
Yeah.
mechanics later on in seasons, but when you watch back and like for season 1, you're like, oh, this makes so much more sense now with all the mechanics.
So,
introduced.
well, I think a good example for this is, without getting into spoilers, Lost. There are a lot of things that are set up in one show that aren't paid off, but there aren't necessarily issues that are self-contradictory within the show that are later ignored or tried to be swept under the rug. That's what they will have to do with Loki. Like, they will have to outright retcon things or completely change the stakes, which would reframe season 1 in a way that makes the entire buildup of that pretty useless. So, like, to say that it'll be fixed in future seasons is a useless statement.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Lost is a good example.
Love that one moment where he realizes that he's officially past the point where he knows what's going to happen in the future.
Which doesn't make any fucking sense. He
It
could have
doesn't
just
make any sense.
he could have just written it so that Sylvie and Loki took him out and he achieved what he wanted. But
And time doesn't work like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, you know, if you ignore every laws of physics, yeah, it works.
Well, he's at the end of time. Like, how much do you think the laws of physics actually matter?
oh yeah, they say that the void at the end of time, I think it's a point where all of time and space meet, or some shit that they explain it. It's really fucking retarded.
How does that work?
It doesn't.
How?
It
Yeah,
doesn't.
it doesn't.
Yeah, no.
That's the answer. It doesn't work. Fuck you, Loki. Fuck you, Kang.
This is the kind of moment I think this show does really well. It doesn't cut away, it lets you sit and watch a character experience something. The idea that this guy is going to get to play other versions of himself is filling me with a lot of excitement. Because
I actually kind of agree with this. I think Jonathan Majors playing other versions of Kang will be pretty neat to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be fun. It'll be
Yeah.
neat.
It'll
Yes.
be great. It
Yeah.
will
That's,
be actually great, yes.
Yes, I
agree.
like actors doing good.
Different roles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That really is about the extent of it, though. Is it's just like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
like,
gonna be
oh,
good.
Cool.
this is a different version. Let's see how Jonathan Majors acts. Oh, that was fun. And then that's it, pretty much.
But it was still retarded. But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Because I really hate when MCU villains are played by great actors but are underused and underwhelming. Majors is in just a single episode. He spends it talking and then he dies.
Oh, like Florence
but
Pugh?
He already has
Yeah.
me sold.
Hey, Florence Pugh is going to be in the Hawkeye, and then she's going to be in Thunderbolt. So we're going to see a lot more of her.
Oh.
It's going to be awesome.
Look, I'm
Thunderbolt.
all for like visually seeing more Florence Pugh, but like, I don't know, man.
Is Ross going to be a threat for once in Thunderbolt or?
Well, okay, so in Shang-Chi, the Abomination is back, and technically Ross is Abomination, right?
Yeah,
No.
he is.
Wait, Ross?
Okay.
Isn't he Red
Ross.
Hulk?
No, it's not Ross. It's
No,
Tim Roth.
Is it?
Emil Blonsky.
Isn't
Yeah.
Ross Red Hulk?
Yeah, he's
Or
Red
maybe
Hulk
I
in the
was-
comics, yeah.
I was maybe thinking
Yeah, he
that
is.
wrong. Okay. Well, I hope he becomes Red Hulk because right now he's just a angry boomer,
Pathetic.
and that's about the extent of his character.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
he was alright in...
He's
Um,
pathetic.
well, he was alright in
was
Civil
alright
War,
in,
and he
Civil
was
War.
terrible in Incredible
Yeah.
Hulk, and then he's terrible in Black Widow as well, so... 1 out of 3, I guess.
Remember when he was? Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people are
a
excited to see
joke
him
in
as
Black
the new
Widow.
big bad in the MCU, and while I like to keep my expectations in check, I'm not going to go ahead and jump to conclusions and say that that's what we're going to get, because it may not be. But if that does happen, I am kind of excited to see how it goes. I think it would be very interesting to see a different approach for a large-scale villain in the MCU. Thanos is in 2 movies, other than a few cameos where he just says, I'm gonna fucking kill those Avengers.
No,
But
he
doesn't.
he's in a lot of movies.
I'd
It's-
say
that's
his
not
cameos are
really what
more
he's
than
saying.
that.
So big.
I'd say his cameos are
His
more than
influence
that.
is
And
is so great.
yeah,
like-
like when you have like
No.
Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, his cameo in
And
that is pretty
Avengers.
important.
He's the cause for he's the cause for the mightiest heroes of Earth to gather together. So yeah, it's a pretty big deal. you know?
Yeah, he's the one who causes both the Guardians should become a team and the Avengers should become a team. That's a pretty
Isn't
big
that
influence.
kind of his point, though? Like his point is that outside of like Infinity War and Endgame, his whole thing is like, I'm gonna fucking kill those Avengers. Like, what? No shit. That's why they gather together. I don't think it's a
Yeah,
problem,
but-
really.
Yeah, well, let's
Yeah.
see what he's gonna
That's
continue saying.
Still,
Doesn't really matter until the finale where he actually shows up. And
Oh,
does
then he
shit.
says they don't really matter until the finale, which is just wrong. So yeah, we were actually
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
he is.
it's playing wrong.
It is. He is the catalyst for them teaming up.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's why it's called the Infinity Saga. It's all
to
around him.
assemble.
I think it was interesting to see a villain that impacts the world over time and really gets us in.
Like Thanos.
Thanos.
That's just Thanos.
Correctly
That's
said, cosmonaut. Good job.
It's the complete opposite approach that they did with Thanos, and I
It's
think
not though.
No.
It's not. It's really not.
This is.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So
Exactly.
here's kind of the fundamental problem with Kang, right? Is it's what Thanos was essentially the biggest possible threat that you can conceive of within
In the universe,
the
yes.
universe. Like he literally had the power of the entire universe on his hands. You cannot get bigger than that. But we had to go through like a decade of movies to even get to the point where we could earn a story like that, because when you have a universe stretching story, you need to have some solid grounding for it to work. Now what Loki's trying to do is say, fuck having a decade of working our way up the ladder, we're just gonna retcon some bullshit in that makes it so that we can have a more powerful threat than Thanos. And like Kang at the end is supposed to be how we feel about Thanos in Infinity War, and it is absolutely not the same. Like their impact is completely different.
Yeah, like.
Basically, Loki says, fuck build up, just accept bad writing.
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean,
So,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure the writer, Michael Waldron, would say that the other 5 episodes are the build up to Kang. But, like, we know that's just
No,
not how
they're
it would
not.
work, yeah.
the opposite approach that they did with Thanos, and I think that again, doing different stuff is a good idea. And I
Again, doing different stuff is a good idea. Thanks for that statement, Cosmonaut. That says a lot.
Wow.
Different.
It's
equal
an
good.
empty statement
That is-
because the MCU isn't doing new stuff and they're not being caring with what they are doing.
And like,
No,
if you
they're-
look at the
they're
MCU,
jingling
they've done
feet.
a lot of new stuff. Like, if you compare, like, let's say Iron Man to Captain America, even just for the first phase of the MCU, those two films are extremely different. Or Thor or compare it to Iron Man, and then you have Avengers, which is like the first team up film like that, live action. That was a huge risk. Like that was new. Like with each film, they did something new. Like it didn't work for a lot of it. I think in phase 3 is when they started to like recycle some shit, and then phase 4 is just the same
Yeah.
shit over and over. But like most of what they've done is like new. Like I'd say Thor: The Dark World is the one that's the most generic out of the earlier Marvel films. So I don't know what he's saying, honestly.
Yeah.
Like this is the moment right now where Marvel is just not doing anything new. So
Pissing themselves, yes.
yeah.
like that this show introduces things like this. This show is very ambitious. We get to see sides of this world that have just not been explored yet. And I
Yeah,
think
because these sides of the world were invented for the show. Kind of, like the void at the end of time where people are sent to be eaten by a cloud monster.
I'd say it's more of a non-sized world. Like it's an illusion of a world. It's nothing but an illusion of not of a wet fart.
I think that's the best thing
Yeah,
to do in the
it's ju-
MCU in
it's
its current state.
pathetic.
You can't
Yes.
show us more of the same because we've seen the best that you can offer. We need new ideas or the formula is going to become stale. And I like the MCU, but I would not have been mad if it
It's
all
dead with
ended
the
after
new
Endgame.
ideas.
So
It's
I would not be
Yeah.
mad if it all ended after Endgame too.
Me, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
me neither.
I don't think Endgame is good, but I think it's a fitting ending.
It
Yep.
is.
And
It ends
what?
with Tony Stark dying, which the MCU started with Tony Stark. So yeah, it's a fitting ending.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
like
think.
like Mueller said on EFAP last time, and I agree. Is that I support ending stories, and
Yeah.
what the
Yeah.
Infinity Saga was about as close to a perfect ending as you can get. Obviously, the writing isn't spot on, but as far as
Yeah.
endings go to universe they built, it's pretty damn good. Now, does that mean you have to abandon Marvel? Absolutely not. It just means restart a new cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Like you just build stuff up from the
2.0 or
ground,
something like that.
Yeah, just
Or-
get
or
new
kinda
characters at this
do-
point.
yeah, or do the DC route, kind of, where they do like one-off solo films like Joker
Stories,
and the
yeah.
Batman.
Right. Yeah, that are separate from
But they
the
tried to
main
do
universe.
that with Spider-Man, Bucky, Sam, Black Widow, and Loki, and it didn't work, like at all.
Yeah. And also find it funny
So-
how he says all of this. Like he says that the MCU, like they have to do new things and whatnot, and that he would have been
No,
happy if
they-
it had ended
they
after
don't.
Endgame, but he liked Far From Home, which I think is pretty insane.
Yeah, it did.
He loved Far From Home, so I wouldn't have
And
been
it-
mad if it had
Did?
ended after
Oh.
Guardians 2. And I agree, Dominic.
And I don't think it necessarily needs something new. Just something good to do with the characters
Hey,
we have left.
Yeah, like I think generic, like films that have like generic premises or whatever, like they're pretty fine on their own as long as they're well made. Like I don't really have an issue with
And
the film
have
being
good-
cliche or whatever.
I think a smarter route for Marvel to take may have been to do like a going back in time to like the 1800s or the 1500s or like even as far back as like 2000 years ago and explore superhumans in that realm, because then you're not
Yeah,
really
that
directly
was a-
affecting everything.
I mean, they could have actually done that because they have
They could have
the
done that, yeah.
they have the established things about the Kree and the Inhumans, which they explored in Agents of Shield. If they wanted to keep continuity, they could actually have done that, and it would have been really interesting to
Yeah.
see how the Kree created the human warriors for them.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I genuinely do think the Kree are the most boring Marvel villains yet. So I
I
don't know.
mean, you haven't seen Agents of Shield yet, thought so.
I'm talking about within the continuity of the film universe.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
All we have is
We
Captain Marvel,
have,
right?
What's his name? No.
Y-
What's his name?
Captain Marvel and WandaVision, technically,
Oh yeah, and the what's the name?
Isn't
and Far From Home.
No, those
no,
are scrolls.
Guardians 1.
Oh, sorry,
Guardian
not Skrull.
ones.
Yeah,
Guardians
Guardians
1.
1. Yeah, that's Ronan.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh, wait, I'm
Ronan.
stupid.
Yeah,
I
Ronan
think
is
I
Kree,
meant
and
Skrulls.
then,
I was mixing up.
Oh no, yeah, the
Kree
scrolls
and
aren't
Skrull.
villains yet. They're gonna be in Secret Invasion, I
in
imagine.
Secret Wars, Secret Invasion, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Secret Invasion.
They're just the most uninteresting. Like they're just aliens. That's it. There's nothing cool about them.
Yep.
I don't.
If you want to keep the people like me on board, we need more stuff like this. Because so far,
Nobody
Loki
cares
is
about
the
you,
first
Marcus.
Phase 4 property.
Oh, Nyra, that hurt. Okay.
Not you, other Marcus, the shitty one.
No, it's still close.
Hey. Oh, fuck off, Zod.
That has had me excited to see more. So, overall, I'm going to go ahead and give Loki an 8.5
Jesus.
out
8.5.
High ass rating.
Wow.
Out of 10. Wow.
I think the only MCU film that's 8.5 that's an 8.5 or higher is Guardians 2. So that's
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Thought, do you know what I gave Loki? How much I gave Loki? I gave it 0.5, like
Yeah.
0.5, because it has Richard E. Grant, which is, I don't know, fine, I guess, but
See, here's the
no,
thing
there's
about
nothing
that.
else. Yeah.
I would not go as low as a 0.5 or maybe even a 1. Like I'm hesitant to give it anything above a 2. But the reason why is because there are films and shows out there that are a 1 from both a writing and a directing and a cinematography and an acting level, and that's not the case with Loki.
Mhm.
Loki is abhorrent in a writing level, but its acting and its production design and the cinematography and the score are all great. And I think those
Yeah,
like
I agree.
mean something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they do. That's why
I
don't give
definitely
this
understand
shit
that,
a
but,
0 out of 10.
Like I think the writing is what keeps, like, it's what the story is all about, because well, the writing is the story and the visuals and the acting, everything is to convey the story. So if the story is shit, then the rest of it, it doesn't really matter if it's good, because it's still
follow,
telling a
yeah.
shitty story. So, but I definitely get what
Oh,
you mean. Like the
I agree.
soundtrack is
I'm
fantastic.
just talking about like no one, kind of like how no one complains about good writing, like no one complains about
Yeah.
good
Good
cinematography.
visuals and yeah, I agree. That's why I
Yeah.
didn't give it 0. It's because it has a good cinematography. So yeah, I can give it a 0 completely honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like in terms of production value, this is much better than Black Widow.
Yeah.
Even though Black Widow was better
Yeah.
written.
Yeah.
of 10.
That's why Black Widow is a 0, because it has
Oh.
terrible editing, just mediocre acting, terrible story. Yeah, nothing going for it.
Yes, and yeah, that was the video. Don't you all feel enriched by having watched it? That was fantastic.
Hmm.
So,
It
I feel
was
like I lost brain cells.
so now, like, thankfully you were also talking about Black Widow. So there's this YouTuber called Film Speak. He's made a couple videos, one which we're gonna be covering today, and Thought, can you do you want to talk about how you know this guy or not?
Yeah, I edit for him.
Oh.
all of
Oh,
his
This video is
all,
brought to
all of his YouTube videos I edit. Now, here's the thing. Griffin is a fantastic guy. Just like he's a good creator. I think he's got his head on straight, but I am not going to defend his ability to accurately critique these MCU properties in anything that could be close to be considered an objective manner. Now, he did tell me before we did this that he tries to keep everything as subjective as possible. I disagree because he tries to use references to back up his point, and once you try to use a reference, that turns it objective as opposed to purely relational.
Yeah.
And so I think he is completely off on Loki as well as Black Widow. You will judge for yourselves, but let's get into it.
Yes.
On an additional note, Ford, your video on Black Widow was a very good write.
Oh
Thank you.
yeah, it
Thank
was
you
a
very
great
much.
video. I recommend everyone watch it.
Yeah.
Breaking down not only Black Widow but also like the MCU as a whole and how it's going down a really bad path of like terrible writing, which I really appreciated that video.
Yeah.
Good rat.
Yeah,
Thank
a good
you.
write.
And now let's watch Griffin's video.
This video is brought to you by Noom. Okay, look, you know me. You know what James Bond means to me, right? Well, it shouldn't be a surprise that spy movies in general get me going the same way that series does. The spy genre has had its ups and downs.
I love the text on screen. It's just super funny.
Yeah.
You must love vetting that Thought.
There was a period right
I mean, I do the same thing. so.
Yeah. Fucking
Here's the
potential
thing.
sass reviewers.
Okay, here's my point of view on it. Right,
Mhm.
an audience psychologically will stay more engaged if there is a cut every 3 to 6 seconds. Now, if I'm hanging on a shot without cutting, but I still want to keep an audience engagement, doing those text things technically has the same psychological effect. So it is better for audience engagement as opposed to not. So I genuinely do think it's more of an algorithm play than a creativity play.
Mhm.
But I do think there are times when text can be implemented in a way that's very creative. So
Oh yeah, I think
Yeah.
text on screen is not in and of
Yeah.
itself bad. I just think most YouTubers use it in a very weird manner. I do think how you use for Griffin or for your own videos is much better than how Brown Table uses for his videos, where it's just random words that he highlights.
Oh God, the Justice League.
Yeah, his Snyder Cut video was hilarious with the words on screen. It's just one. It's hilarious.
after the wall came
And by the way, Arctic asked if he said Cruella is a good movie. Yeah, he fucking loved Cruella.
No!
Griffin has all the wrong
Oh,
takes. It's pretty
Oh.
insane.
Oh no.
That movie was garbage, though.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was garbage.
the world seemed unclear. How do we make espionage relevant when there's no longer this giant Soviet power with which to dedicate our resources to? Well, we got our answer in the mid-90s when GoldenEye and the first Mission Impossible film heralded the return of the genre, and for about 20 years afterwards, things were looking great. But we're in a bit of a drought again. It's been 6 years since our last Bond
Actually,
film,
no,
and
we're absolutely not in a drought. Since then, we've had John Wick, we've had Tenet, which
Wait, we've also had like Men from U.N.C.L.E., which is also a spy film.
we've had Man from U.N.C.L.E., we've had a couple Kingsman films, I think,
Yeah.
since then.
Yeah.
Well, like Skyfall
Well,
came
there
out.
was a
what was
Spy
it?
as well, which is a
2012?
I remember
2015 film.
Skyfall being good. I remember it being good, but
Skyfall
might be
was
wrong.
great.
I remember
Yeah.
liking it, but I watched it like a long time ago, so I don't remember much.
Yeah, but we also had like Mission Impossible Fallout.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a 2018.
And,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
that's
yeah, so I don't know
Oh,
about this. I mean, like, if we're talking about a drop from James Bond films, sure, but they absolutely
Sure,
do not
yeah.
make up the entire spy genre.
3 since our last Mission Impossible movie. And sure, the next entries are finally on the horizon, but I need more than that to satisfy my appetite.
and it's not looking
2
good.
franchises are not enough to show the world why spy movies matter and why they can still work.
Well,
Thankfully,
they do still work. I mean, I feel like Tenet's
Yeah.
a pretty good example.
Yeah,
of that.
Tenet is a good one, which is like a very high concept spy film that actually tells a really compelling story. I'd say it's pretty interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. Didn't Spielberg do a spy movie earlier this year?
Spielberg.
Did he?
Let's
I
see.
don't know. I may be thinking of something else, but
I
I
mean,
think
he
there
did
was a
West
spy
Side
movie
Story.
earlier. Yeah, no. I think there was a spy story earlier this year. Just let me check.
I'm
this.
opening IMDb. For some reason, it's not loading properly, but I don't think he did.
Marvel Cinematic Universe gave me exactly what I was looking for? And it's by the way of Black Widow? That doesn't sound right. What? That's right, folks. The Avengers' own super spy is the savior we never knew we needed. Now, in order to be the
No.
world's greatest spy and
No,
save the
it
world
wasn't.
alongside gods, super soldiers, and men in metal
Here's
suits
a
like the
sponsorship. You
Avengers,
can skip ahead
you're
like a
going to want to
minute.
make smart life.
Right.
Unless you want to be told about fitness
No, I'm good.
and health.
I don't like Griffin's voice normally. I'm okay.
Below to check out Noom and take a quick and easy online evaluation to create a custom plan that suits
Jesus,
you.
okay.
And thank you so much to Noom for sponsoring this video. Now let's go back to the world of international espionage and talking about why I love Black Widow. Let's get this out of the way. Black Widow is awesome. It's a kick-ass spy thriller featuring the MCU's to be expected gripping set pieces, Scarlett Johansson's best performance as
No.
Best performance!
Absolutely false.
No.
No!
That's a big reach.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
best
honestly, like,
performance.
best performance is also one of those things that it's like, okay, maybe it's the performance that you may have emotionally related to the best, but I'm not gonna lie, kind of looks like she phoned this one in.
Yeah, when I was watching it
Yeah.
yesterday with Nyra and Strike, I was like, yeah, no, she definitely does not care about this film. We were talking about how she was in like Marriage Story not that long ago. She's in Her, which is my favorite film, and it's only her voice, and her voice is way more expressive than like her entire performance in this film. It's pretty insane how she's just like phoning it in this film, and like the entire cast kind of is like Florence Pugh, I'd say, is the best, but even then she's not great because of that retarded Russian accent. So the acting is just really not great.
Well, do you not like the Russian accent?
No, I do not.
It's always so bad.
Yeah, I don't get why.
Tasha Romanoff, and a supporting cast who not only bring their A game, but are relishing in it. Being
They're whatever.
set right after Civil War, it has a moderate...
It's not after, it's during, but whatever.
It's kind of in the same period.
Yeah, it happens after well, during, I guess, the fight between Captain America, Bucky, and Iron Man.
aesthetic through line to that earlier entry, but overall brings a fresh and wonderful new style to the franchise. It's one of my favorite MCU.
He says, showing a scene where the car door defies the laws of physics by just forgetting what inertia is. It's pretty fun.
These cuts.
Also go back.
All right.
And pause on that moment
Right
where
after Civil War, it has a moderate
where
aesthetic through line to
door is
that earlier
crashing.
entry, but overall brings a fresh and wonderful new style to the franchise. It's one
All right.
Nope. Right after, like when it's hitting the motorbike.
of my favorite.
Do you see they forgot to roto out the camera rig hooked up there
Yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
in the top left?
I don't know if you guys can see it in chat, but it's this. That's amazing. Bro.
Incredible.
I mean, they forgot you also get
Bruh.
the wires out from Florence Pugh when she blows herself up. So
to date, and I just wanted to get that out of the way first so that you could understand where I'm coming from. I understand many of
She's falling through an explosion. This show is insane.
you watching aren't going to feel as passionately as I do, or that this film is 10 years too late, and that's
It is.
completely okay. But at least from
Well,
my
yeah.
opinion, I'm here to tell you why I think
Well,
Black Widow works, and why I think it's one of the most important.
See, like you just
Oh,
said,
that's
he
the
tries to keep
magic
it
word.
subjective, right? But then he says like, why I think it works. It working is not subjective. It's in terms of craft.
No, yeah.
Yeah, and then
of
well,
course,
see,
opinion
I
is
can
the,
I can
magic
imagine
word.
her. Well, I can imagine him saying right now that like it works for me. I
Mhm.
already have a problem with the "it works for me" statement. Because you can say, well, like it works for me in the sense that I like it despite its issues,
Mhm.
but saying it works for me in the sense that it's good and has no issues from my perspective is, I just think a poor way to
It's-
critique film.
Yeah.
effective and emotional entries in the
Important, effective, and emotional
Nay.
entries. That was. I think only
No.
one word of those actually matters. It's the effective. Like the
Yeah.
rest is just flurry language.
MCU. Without getting into heavy spoilers or deep plot, the basic premise of the film is that Natasha Romanoff is on the run from S.H.I.E.L.D. following her actions in Leipzig, and while hiding out, receives a package from her sister Yelena that reroutes her onto a quest
Yelena.
Yeah, just
That
mail
Yeah.
in the
Yeah, she just
Mail in
mails
the
the
old-
most important thing in
the vials.
the most
Yeah.
important thing in their
Okay,
entire
so
lives.
here's actually a good point. So I don't understand why she decided to mail that instead of calling
rather than
Natasha.
giving it or giving it herself, you know, from
Well,
hand to hand.
Yeah, giving it from hand to hand, but I'm talking about like if she is able to contact Natasha in some way and says, "Hey, by the way, there's this huge ass network of widows and they're all under the mind control and I have the cure. Can you hook me up with like Tony Stark? Because if not, there's literally like the world could end." I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure with world-ending stakes like that, you know, FedEx is not your best route.
Definitely not.
So I find it strange that they don't go for go to call the Avengers. Like, it's
Well, I mean,
why wouldn't they?
Yelena's plan is like, I'm gonna mail it to Natasha, and then Natasha's gonna take it to the Avengers so they can take down the Red Room. Even though she just doesn't leave a note saying anything, she just leaves a photo of them as kids.
Yeah.
And with the vials, it's really a retarded fucking plan. Whatever.
Because it could totally be Dreykov. Like there's no well, like that could totally be blackmail. She has nothing to assume that that would be Yelena.
Yeah, and also she would have missed it if it wasn't for Task Manager attacking her. So
Yeah.
grudges up her past,
Fucking Task
including her
Manager.
time in the Red Room, where she was conditioned from childhood to become a master spy assassin for the Russians before her heel face
Yeah,
turned
no,
towards
she
S.H.I.E.L.D.
wasn't
It is, of course, the
condition.
Well, so she was. Like canonically, she was the only one. Well, she was the last of the conditioned widows, which is stupid because she was still like 12, I think, when they got the technology out of Ohio to be able to do the mind control shit.
I mean, yeah, we see when they show the flashback in Age of Ultron where they're doing the hysterectomy, like she already looks like Scarlett Johansson, like she's already an adult, so it's kind of like they
she's
would
100%
definitely
an adult at that point.
Yeah, they would definitely have the opportunity to do the chip thing with
To
her.
put the chip,
Well,
yeah.
so here's also what I was gonna say, and I think the opening credit sequence of Black Widow points to this, is that they do the mind control stuff when they're kids, not when they're adults, because we see all the kids having their skulls get the
Mhm.
mark on them, meaning they would do it as soon as possible. They would not be waiting.
Oh yeah, when they got her when they got her back, they would do it. In that opening scene after Red Guardian just gives them Chew Dreykov, that's when they would do it. But apparently they just don't do it with her, and they put the chip on Yelena on her leg instead of on her skull because of some reason. We don't know why.
Yeah.
Oh, Captain Midnight released a video on Loki, and the title is Loki is exactly what Marvel needed. There's a good chance we'll check
Oh,
out
of
that
course
video
he
in a
did.
future
Oh,
ecom
right.
then. Dear God.
Of course he did.
The long overdue Black Widow solo film that everyone has wanted for years.
No,
and while
this
it
is
should
not
have
the Black
come out
Widow film I
chronologically
wanted.
after Civil War, it
No.
made her involvement in
Hmm.
Infinity War onwards even more emotional and impactful.
No, it made it much
No.
worse because it makes me think, oh, she should have
Okay.
survived the drop in Endgame. Because in Rio she survives during this
Yeah.
film.
I'd rather have had a Black Widow movie about meeting Clint and taking down Dreykov before Avengers rather than.
I mean,
this
yeah,
kind of
that's what they
bullshit.
did. That's what she thought they did with her and Hawkeye, what they did in Budapest. That's what
Yeah.
she thought they had done. So it's like, oh, just make a movie about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't diminish how genuinely great this film is, and
It does. I mean,
Mm.
it's not the only thing that diminishes this film, but yes.
it
See,
certainly
that's
doesn't-
another non-subjective statement, is that how genuinely great a
Mhm.
film is.
Yeah,
It's
and he's
contradiction.
talking about, the fact that it came out after Endgame. So it's like, these are all objective facts that you can judge to see whether it works in favor of telling the story or not.
Yep.
diminish its importance, nor the importance of Natasha Romanoff. Think about where we've gone with superhero films before the
It
MCU.
does.
They're all about men.
But
Superman,
Yes. They're all about men.
But
yeah.
Everyone is Superman.
every,
And by the way, he said pre-MCU.
pre-MCU.
So,
So what about the Supergirl film
like,
that came out like
or-
decades ago? Or
yeah,
Wonder
the
or
Woman?
Elektra.
Wonder
or
Woman, Elektra,
Black Cat.
Catwoman. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I actually asked him about this, and he said those films are all bad, and the point is to sexualize the characters within them.
Mm.
And I'm
Don't
just like,
don't people
"What?"
genuinely love the Wonder Woman show though? Like, I don't think they're actually.
Yep. Yeah, they're actually fans of it. Yeah.
That's
But
really fucking dumb.
that's not the point. There have been more like solo, unique female superhero films before there have been like these male ones. In terms
Yeah.
of, I mean, like actually, like Elektra. Like, dude, you had an Elektra movie before you had an Iron Man movie.
Yeah,
Like,
that
think
was
about
serious.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also like when you think about it, we have shit like Dredd 2012. That film is as much about Anderson as it is about Dredd himself. Like, yeah, that's a comic book film with a woman as one of the main two characters. Like, I think this is just really diminutive of. I mean, I get that women-led superhero films aren't that common nowadays, but Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah, but like even now, they are not the norm. And the only reason they are made
Is to pander to
professionally.
people that, yeah.
Well, it's like, okay, there's absolutely nothing wrong inherently with a female-led superhero film. Like,
I
it's
agree,
fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fine.
However-
Definitely yes.
However, like, and this was kind of in the Black Widow pitch meeting, is the reason why the female superhero films haven't been made is because historically they haven't performed that well at the box office.
Yeah.
And they started performing well with Wonder Woman, which is great, which is fine, even though I don't think it's a good movie. Then, like honestly, all it shows is dishonesty on the studio's part, because they're not doing it for the women. They're doing it for the
No.
money.
They are.
They
Mhm.
follow the money.
Did Captain Marvel do a lot of money?
Yeah, it grossed over $1 billion.
I mean, it's a
but it's
Marvel
because it
film.
was like in the middle of Infinity War and Endgame.
Uh,
Even
it
though there
was-
was
yeah,
also Ant-Man and the
it was.
Wasp in between those films, but everyone forgets that Ant-Man and the Wasp came out during that time, so we just kind of forget that and say that it's between Infinity War and Endgame. But still, like Captain Marvel did make a lot of money in the box office, and it's like the first Wonder Woman did as well. I think it grossed more than Batman v Superman, which is funny. So
Superman, Batman, Wolverine, Spider-Man.
whoa! You're saying Wolverine, but X-Men has a bunch of female characters like Jean Grey and Rogue.
Yes.
Like, they're two of the main characters, especially in the first film.
Well, no, he actually brings
What's
that
her
up.
name?
He
Oh,
brings up
okay.
X-Men.
Okay.
Oh.
The Hulk, Iron Man. There are certainly
Wait, but you just said before the MCU. Iron Man is the MCU, or regardless of MCU.
Yes.
But Man of Steel is not before MCU either, so he should have shown Superman Returns, I guess.
Great characters who are women who appear in
And
these films, but they all
Batman Begins isn't even no Batman The Dark Knight isn't pre MCU, is it?
It's not, but Batman Begins is, so it's kind of like, well,
Yes, it is.
it does.
It's a
doesn't
singular
really matter.
continuity.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter.
even the ensemble ones like X-Men have a clearly defined lead character that is a man.
What? No.
So
Oh,
Okay, but even
No.
okay, even you can say that
an
even
ensemble group, you know.
yeah, you could say that, but like in X-Men, I don't think that you could point to a main character in the first X-Men. Like I don't know who the main character would be
Yeah.
in that film. Like a lot of them get a lot of development. Like Rogue is one of the main
Yeah.
characters. She gets a lot of characters.
Well, it's in the title. Like the team is the main character.
Yeah. Yeah, like we have films like X-Men Origins Wolverine. It's like, yeah, it's about Wolverine, but this film is about the X-Men.
It's also an unfair criticism though, because in like it's one thing if the reason they are a leader is because they are a man, and it's another thing if the reason they're a leader is because functionally within the plot that's how it works. So Professor X is the leader because he's the goddamn professor, not because he's a man.
Yeah, I mean that's why Melanie is the leader of Summerland in
function,
Legion.
yes.
It's because she's the most qualified one. It's not just because she's a woman. Like she doesn't even have powers in that. So I'm talking about Legion. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we heard you. We heard you.
Yeah, as usual.
No way. Are you talking about Legion?
Never. I would never do that. Yeah, but even
No.
then, because like when you have like
And
something like Agents of Shield, Coulson becomes the director of Shield, right? But it's because Nick Fury trusts him, and we know that he's the most qualified one because, well, he's Coulson. We see the development in season 1 for that, and it's like I just think just saying, oh yeah, it's another white man in the role of leader is kind of strange, especially when Mac becomes the director of Shield in season 6. But whatever.
Yeah,
Storm in the
but
X-Men film.
the whole team in X-Men is very important. Like,
Oh yeah, like Jean Grey is one of the most important characters out of all these, and yeah, I forgot about Storm. She's also a really big character.
Storm, yes, she's
Yeah, and don't they?
Misogynist,
maybe the
you
strongest
forgot.
of them all.
I'm sorry, but well, even Days of Future Past, right? We have what's her face, Mystique as one of the main characters, and we have them going back in
Yes.
time through. I forgot that woman's name who makes them travel back in time.
Kitty Pryde, I
Yeah,
think.
I think so. So like, it's so like these female characters are really important for X-Men. This is a strange criticism,
Yes.
but alright. There goes Marcus again mentioning Legion.
Is a man.
Of course.
Storm in the X-Men films, Mary Jane in the Spider-Man films, Catman in you know what? We're not gonna talk about that.
He said he said Catman.
Catman.
Yeah.
He said
Catman.
Catman.
Dear God. But yeah, MJ is shitty in MJ is really shit in Spider-Man 2, but the
Yeah,
other Spider-Man
MJ
films she's pretty good.
Movie.
Yeah.
But they're all supporting characters, propping up our man's man hero as he saves.
Not really. In
Why?
Spider-Man 2 is really the opposite.
Not really in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2
Yeah.
it's Peter just simping for her as she becomes a
And
fucking
she
cunt.
is manipulating him. Yes.
Yeah, she's manipulating him and John Jameson. So yeah.
And you know,
What a
there's a
fucking
difference
asshole.
between propping up a main character and working with a main character. For
Yes.
example, the TASM films do a really good job of having the love interest be a co-equal as opposed to a prop
Yeah,
Which,
Gwen Stacy is actually a
yeah,
character in
exactly.
those films. It's pretty good.
and competent.
Yes. She's smart and she actually
Samuel
has a lot of
Jackson is-
agency for herself.
No. Yeah, I was going to compliment Winter Soldier, but I won't do it.
I mean, Black Widow is the best character in the Winter Soldier, so
Oh,
Yeah.
the world. Natasha Romanoff really changed that. In her introductory appearance in 2010's Iron Man 2, yeah, she's got the same amount of significance as her predecessors, although you could still easily argue it's a somewhat Iron Man and Cap-heavy film. Natasha is more front and center than...
what do you mean cap heavy film? Captain America isn't
No
in the
clue.
film. What the fuck
He's
does he
not in
mean?
it.
Captain America
The last
isn't
time the
there.
Cap was in it was when the prototype of his shield was there. He wasn't in the fucking film.
Yeah. What? Like the only thing, the only thing that's in it is the prototype of the shield, which is how he builds his new arc reactor. But other than that,
Yes.
nothing.
Arguably any woman in a comic book film before her. After our
Arguably, I like how he said arguably because that shields him from any criticism. But we used a bunch of examples from X-Men itself that is just like, yeah, no, you're just wrong there.
fun little car chase pre-title sequence, the very first thing we cut to is Black Widow, and we spend very little time without her right up until we hit the end credits. She's essential to bringing Bruce Banner on board. She helps trick Loki. She's even something of a voice of reason during the moment where Loki's staff is kinda driving everyone insane.
I actually agree with this. I think she's great in Avengers. I think people really
Yeah,
discount
she
her
is.
character
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
She does a
she's
lot
great.
to ground the characters and be like this like voice of reason, like you said. Especially to Clint. That scene with her talking to Clint is fantastic. After he gets out of his brainwashing, it's pretty good.
And of course, there's no limit to the
Oh yeah, so I guess he's just ignoring Peggy. Yeah, Peggy. She not only did she get her own show, but she was fantastic in the first Avenger. And she actually had a lot of agency because, you know, she's Agent Carter. Well, she wasn't at that point, but, you know, she earned the title of Agent Carter. And she founded S.H.I.E.L.D. So, you know, kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be shocking, but most people don't hate women.
What?
No way.
Wow.
I hate women.
but-
Women
but-
suck.
How am I supposed to hate women now?
What about Pepper Potts at the end of Iron Man 3? Yeah, that's a lot of agency she has. She's the one who kills Killian,
Yeah.
Aldrich Killian.
Yeah,
I just
she-
I just prefer to forget that film,
as
but yes.
retarded as it is, but yeah.
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 She
Well,
does.
see, that's interesting though because Iron Man 3 is like Griffin's second favorite MCU film. I'm pretty sure. So the
really?
fact that that's not
Iron Man
What?
3.
Ouch.
Iron Man
Iron
3.
Man 3.
Yes, the third Iron Man
Okay.
film, the one with a 3 at the end of it,
Yes, the worst Iron Man film, yes.
Okay.
Wow.
the one with the kid. Yeah.
And of course, there's no limit to the amount of ass she kicks during the New York City climax. Her
And
place
in Black
the
Widow,
Avengers-
there's no limit to the amount of ass they show on screen.
Hey, they're tasteful, isn't that right? Tasteful ass shots.
At
Yeah,
least
tasteful.
they have tastes.
Oh.
and her bond with her teammates secured, Natasha becomes something of the heart of the group. She's often a measured voice of reason, even during times of deep conflict, and she
Yeah, you're repeating yourself, but yes, I agree.
becomes a confidant to both Bruce Banner and Steve Rogers in particular. Her voice is the thing that can most easily bring Bruce back from being the Hulk, and through her experiences alongside Steve in The Winter Soldier, they develop a mutual trust that is matched by few people in either of their lives. And then of course there's Clint Barton, with whom Natasha had already formed a sibling-like lifelong bond. Natasha abandons her espionage assignment
Okay,
during
stop.
the Avengers.
It's almost like it would be interesting to have a story detailing what happened between Clint and Natasha, wouldn't it?
Yeah, sorry, that tells exactly what happened in Budapest would have been awesome. Like it's like I mentioned earlier, like the film writes itself. Just write that story about Budapest. You don't even have to make it a big film. Just like make it an hour and a half, and it's just that. Like you don't.
Yeah.
And see, the interesting thing about that is technically, since the mission is Clint trying to kill Natasha, you don't have a dumbass villain that you have to throw in there. It can
Yes.
actually be somewhat of a character piece, which would be really interesting.
Yeah, you could
Really?
you could
Yes.
explore why Natasha's doing what she's doing and why Clint is doing what he's doing and how Clint changes his mind in terms of killing her and he doesn't. And it would be really fucking cool to see. But
Yes.
we got the film we got.
They would somehow fuck it up, but you know, still a better premise than what we got.
Yeah.
In order to help Clint overcome Loki's mind control. Of course, between her time in the Red Room and her subsequent life as a conditioned killer for post-Soviet Russia, Natasha spent much of her life manipulated and woefully mistreated, conditioned and activated to do horrible things to people. It was a long, arduous journey for her to become the hero she is. She couldn't
I like how you showed the clip of
Generally,
her
we don't see it,
kicking
but
him
yeah.
with the nuts.
do it alone, and Clint played a big part in bringing out her humanity. He's family. The entire team is family. If there's a common thread throughout Natasha Romanoff's appearances in the MCU, it's that when her family is in need, she will come and she will fix the situation at all costs. In Black Widow, Natasha fights to fix her fake Russian family's
She
problems.
doesn't. She really doesn't. She says we're
doesn't.
fake. Let's get this over with. It's not real. Nobody
Care
cares.
about them.
Like Yelena is the one who is actually fighting for that. This is just wrong. Like in this scene, Natasha's just like,
Yeah.
"Stop! You're not my mother. You're not my. You're like we're not a family." And then Florence Pugh's like, "No, it was real to me."
Problems, even though she's been separated from them for over 2 decades. Of course, she does so while she's on the run and separated from her new Avengers adopted one, and it's in helping her old family that she learns how she can help save her new one, which she will go on to do in Infinity War and Endgame. That culminates to her
no. Black
self-sacrifice
Widow
during
doesn't impact Infinity War in any significant way. It just doesn't.
Sure it does. It makes the characters look really stupid for not bringing all those widows to help fight Thanos.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great. Thank
Yeah,
you,
it's just
Black
like,
Widow.
where were you, Yelena,
Good
or
job.
Red Guardian, or Melina, or anyone who could have helped.
Good job. Frankly, it's getting
Actually, yeah,
worse.
they could have
Each
brought
time you
they
think
could have
about
brought not only the widows, but they could have brought Taskmaster, Yelena,
it. Yes.
Melina, and
Guardian.
Red Guardian. All of those, and they just
Well,
don't.
it's almost like Taskmaster could have been useful against Thanos, but no.
That would have been
of
actually
course
really
not.
cool to see Taskmaster trying to fight Thanos,
Yes.
because Taskmaster mimics the movements. That would have been pretty neat.
Endgame, because she's the character who would do so for the others probably before anyone else. Even Steve Rogers, who once jumped on what he thought was a live grenade. And that's lost.
No, she would not do more than Captain America. I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah,
They
no.
would all do what each other would do to save each other.
Yeah, they
All
would
over
do
the world,
anything they could to save each other, but like saying that she'd sacrifice herself more than Captain America, that's weird.
No.
You're kind of devaluing. Well, Endgame kind of
I'm
assassinates
pretty sure
Captain
they
America,
would-
but other than that, but if it
Yeah.
wasn't for that, then I think that Captain America would do way more than Natasha just by virtue of being him. Like he sacrificed his life
Being
for the
Captain
bomb not to
America,
drop
yes.
in the first Avengers. So
is felt in universe, but has been felt much more potently on the other side of the fourth wall. She's important to the MCU, she's important to us, and she continues to be important even after she's gone. And even more so, the importance of her legacy is tied together with that of spy cinema. For all the aches and pains we felt during the Bond hiatuses, for as much as we wish we could have a Mission Impossible movie.
disclaimer right here, my phone goes off a couple of times without me noticing, so just pretend it didn't happen and keep watching the vid. Good. That's hilarious.
Okay. Couldn't have recorded those lines again. No.
No,
You just couldn't have.
Nope.
No.
Movie every year. The reality is that this character has consistently been here to fill the gaps, even if the movies she's featured in don't exactly fall under what we think of as spy cinema. The Winter Soldier is probably the closest Natasha has gotten.
Jesus, you could have re-recorded, dude. Chill. Ugh.
To a globe-trotting espionage adventure like we expect of James Bond. But even that film is very much a Captain America superhero flick, with the expected showdown between Avengers and its necessary escalation of action to a realm beyond
No way.
espionage and
You
into
mean
fantasy.
that the Captain America Civil War film is supposed to be a Captain America film? No. No. It
But
can't possibly be.
now, with Black Widow, finally, Natasha Romanoff is given her Bond film. After all the pain and fighting she went through to blaze a
No.
trail for women superheroes,
Okay.
Black Widow gets a pay.
Goodbye, Fort.
Okay, thought. You alright?
Oh, hello again.
Yeah, his power went out. Yeah, I guess he's
Oh,
still
he's-
trying to fix it.
He's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Payoff of her own. It's something of a staple for MCU films to have their title sequences at the end of the film. Here, we get a pre-title sequence that mixes the Americans with Casino Royale, which leads into a theme song and a title sequence.
You're gonna actually talk about the
It
theme
was
song
pain. Absolute
because
pain.
you know,
Don't talk
as a
about the
big
song.
fan of
you
Nirvana
even-
myself, it kind of like just makes me want to kill myself.
Don't defend that fucking cover. Don't you fucking dare.
Yeah, like imagine butchering "Smells Like Teen Spirit." Like Jesus Christ.
How do you butcher that?
Well, life.
play the song,
finds a
no.
How
way.
could you?
They could have just
Marvel
they
can
could have just
afford
played
it.
the song.
Well, see, here's the thing, man. It had to be sung by a woman.
Why?
Yeah, it had to be a
Well-
melodramatic cover by a woman because it
Why
shows
not-
that the
why
women
wasn't
are.
this sung by a Russian man?
That would be better,
Yes.
honestly.
Just
Yes.
have David Harbour with his Russian accent singing it. I would have liked
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Same.
Incredible.
Well, okay, it's actually that cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit you've heard going around the internet, but it's a sequence lifted right out of Bond. Oddly enough,
If you
it
say
more
so.
specifically resembles Die Another Day
No,
of
it's not.
all movies. And then we're put right into adult
Die
Natasha's
Another Day was
shoes and go
crap.
with her
Of
on the
any
mission.
movie,
Speaking of,
it
I'm
had to
pleased
resemble-
to announce that Natasha is not sidelined
Out of
in
any
her own
movie, it had to resemble Die Another Day.
Hey, didn't Griffin make a video defending that another day, or whatever?
No, not by
Oh
another
my
day.
God.
He made
Oh,
a video
no.
defending Quantum of
sense.
Solace,
Oh, okay.
Oh,
which is also really bad. So
yes.
Yeah, Griffin has some weird videos.
Hot takes, but yeah.
Yeah, but hey, Natasha's not sidelined in her own film. Isn't that great?
movie. There's pretty
Oh,
much just
wow.
one scene that isn't connected to her. But the homages don't end with just Bond, and they aren't all so specific. Natasha has a wonderfully fun, Incredibles-like dynamic with her family, and
Yeah, it's ripped off.
No,
It's
it
ripped
isn't.
straight from
Yeah, an incredible
Incredibles.
dynamic where she hates all of them.
Yeah, that's retarded. But like that joke where Red Guardian's trying to put on his costume, that's like just stolen from Incredibles, like straight out of Incredibles.
real
Yes.
feed.
That's
Yeah,
straight out of a
straight up.
fucking teaser trailer.
But you can't get accused of copying something if it belongs to you. So
Ah,
Yeah,
genius! It belongs to
ahead,
Disney,
I
so they're
guess.
they're okay with it.
Mhm.
yeah, they don't care. It's
They can't sue
Ah.
themselves.
yeah.
anytime Russians are involved with a spy film, you're going to inevitably evoke John le Carre and the Cold War. Natasha
Yeah, which begs the question: how did Red Guardian not win the Cold War for the Russians? I guess just don't think about it. But yeah.
Because
Incompetence.
time homages.
Like he was acting before the Winter Soldiers were created.
Yeah.
The only Winter Soldier that
Yeah.
existed was Bucky, and Red Guardian is stronger than Bucky. So at that point, it's like, oh, you could have, just not. You could have just won the Cold War, but I guess not.
also has to
Also,
rediscover herself.
there's a little pet peeve I have with the movie. They keep telling us that no, Natasha isn't sexualized in this movie, but those white suits, man.
Oh yeah, no,
Just
she's incredibly sexualized actually.
Nice.
It's she
Yeah.
like the
It's
amount
just-
of ass shots are pretty insane. There's like a tracking ass shot
Yeah.
after she goes fix the generator.
Yes.
Natasha also has to rediscover herself in Black Widow, who
I like how you put the visual of the mass murder she committed. That is very thoughtful.
Yeah, she has to rediscover,
She has to
the
rediscover
mass
herself
murderer.
as she
Mass
finds out that
murderer.
she's a mass murderer. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What about the dog she killed?
Yeah,
What about the dog?
yeah. When we were watching yesterday, I was just like, yeah. So she just killed thousands of people, and Nyra's just like, oh no, not a dog! Don't kill the dog. So yeah,
Yeah.
Nyra cares
We
as
have
much about those people as
different,
Natasha did.
she is,
Yeah.
who
We have
was,
different
what is the best
priorities.
way to deal with her past sins and who her family really are. She's fighting to dismantle
Oh
a system
boy,
she
it's
was
almost
fortunate
like
enough to escape
A movie with Clint could have done this job just way better. Like, yeah, great.
from, whereas nearly everyone else who was trapped in it never got out at all. Does that remind you all of a certain amnesiac super agent whose name also starts with a B? In fact, let's go back to James Bond one more time. Natasha is on the run after having gone rogue in Civil War. James Bond is, overall, a very loyal agent, but there are a handful of films, License to Kill and Quantum of Solace in particular, where he does operate outside the confines of his assignment and even draws the scorn of his government in order to complete his mission his way. Similar to how Bond sees the big picture and how he's able to operate in ways the governments can't in order to make the world a better place, Natasha is able to follow her instinct as a spy to see the big picture and ultimately put an end to the atrocities and people who not only imprisoned her, but many other...
Okay, what is he saying? What the fuck's he talking about, big picture?
That was a bit of a... Yeah.
This just sounds like
I don't
flowery
get
language, like I don't get his
anything
point.
of what he said.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea of what he is saying?
Nope.
Yeah, it's just like
Oh.
she can see the big picture. What big picture? Like, yeah, she's gonna take out the Red Room, but that's not really the big picture. That's kind of personal vengeance for her. I don't really get it. And she couldn't actually see it because she didn't know that the Red Room was still a thing. So Elena is the one who actually sees it.
She's not attacking the Red Room because she wants to free the world from the influence of Dracov. No, she just wants to kill Dracov. It's pretty clear all throughout the film. But she doesn't give a fuck about anything else than killing Dracov, so yeah.
Yeah, it's just a strange point. I don't get what the big picture he's talking about is.
Other women across the globe. There's been a lack of genuine, harder-edge spy films in the last few years. The absence of Bond
As I'm showing a clip from Man of Uncle.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Watch Men from Uncle. Good film.
Has left a hole, but the general overall lack of spy content in our theaters recently has really left us starved. And look, Black Widow is an MCU film. It's not a dour and grittier than dirt spy opus. It has a healthy dose of humor and wisecracks, and it's never not fun.
I mean, I had a ton of fun. I had a ton of fun, but the jokes are not good. I had fun because it's hilarious to laugh at, especially when she bangs her head on the table, because that's the funniest moment in the MCU. But other than that, yeah, like when you have a scene like with the Red Guardian say, "My father, he go toilet on my hand." It's like, no, that's not funny. It's not fun. That's not anything. That's just annoying.
No, my favorite joke before was how is Gamora in Infinity War with Drax is usually super hilarious, but man, this film is so goddamn funny.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, it does succumb a bit to the MCU's knack for glossing over morally gray characters and their actions.
Morally gray characters and their actions. I see what you did there, Thought, with the visuals.
Their flaws and just making them righteous people, Black Widow at least makes an attempt, and it mostly succeeds. Outside of that latter part, the Bourne trilogy does this with Jason Bourne.
It mostly
and best Bond
succeeds.
films do
Outside
this
of the fact where it completely assassinates her character.
Other than that, though, assassinates her and Elena. If we ignore that, it's fine.
James Bond. It makes the lead character more human and therefore more relatable. And while that doesn't mean we can all
She was already
strap
human,
on a
but
leather...
okay.
She was already human and relatable.
This film made her more inhuman than she's ever been in the MCU before. Like in the Winter Soldier, she gets shot, and that's like a concern. Like that bullet in her shoulder, like they gotta get her help. Here?
They got one of the Russo brothers as the
problem.
They get one of the Russo brothers as the doctors who fix her up when they're talking to Nick Fury when she gets shot. Like, of course, they survived the missile from Zola, which they shouldn't. But the point is that, in Winter Soldier, she's just a human being, as well as Civil War and Avengers and Age of Ultron.
It's what I call the Loki problem. Basically, everyone goes like, "Oh, they introduced the multiverse in Loki. Oh, how grandiose is it when it didn't need to be introduced?"
Like, it's when we already... Well, that's the kind of thing. Like, Phase 4 has not changed the status quo for anything, right? Like
anything, yeah.
Yeah, the WandaVision, I guess, it brought back Vision, but when you have like... which is like the biggest status quo change, I guess? Well, yeah, when we have
Sam
Falcon and Winter
is
Soldier, we have like
still
Sam.
Captain America.
Yeah, Sam begins the show. It's like before the show, oh, he's Captain America, and then the show starts. Oh, I guess he's not Captain America. And when it ends, oh yes, he is Captain
And then
America.
he is.
Yeah, so like the show just introduces John Walker, I guess, and that's the entire purpose of the show. And then we have Loki, which is like, oh yeah, the multiverse is a thing, and then the show happens, and like, oh, I guess it's not, and then it ends, and it's like, oh yes, it is. So it doesn't change anything, and the same thing is with Black Widow. It's kind of like, well, of course, it couldn't change much of the status quo because it's set after Civil War, and there have been a bunch of films since then. But like, it doesn't like do anything that like
With
matters.
her character, yeah.
Yeah, she's just
It doesn't do
same thing.
anything. It doesn't show any effect a character has on the world. Like no, it just yeah.
It's just like
just-
she's in a well,
it's
other
just
than
a
her
big
being
jumble
assassinated,
mess.
she's in the same place she was as at the end of Civil War and beginning of Infinity War. It's really pointless. Like she doesn't it doesn't like introduce her humanity because that was already a thing. It's kind of just kind of a way to praise this film without actually like giving thought to what you're talking about, I'd say, because it's like she's already this thing that you're praising the film for making her, which this film doesn't, especially when she survived shit that a normal human would never do.
Their suit and become Black Widow or Red Guardian, it does make it easier to want the spy you're watching to accomplish their mission and come back home alive. This might actually stand as
Why would you?
No.
What? Oh, of course you're gonna want the hero to come home alive. Well, unless you've written them terribly, like in Black Widow. But you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, that's the minimum requirement for making a protagonist that you root for. It's not wanting them to die.
Well, right, but it's like
I wanted
this
Alexei
film,
to die because he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
a
this
massive
film
piece of shit.
isn't
I
worth
hate
praising for
Alexei.
that.
Wait, what'd you
this,
say?
This film isn't worth praising for that because
Yeah.
like it wants the payoff of you wanting the hero to come home without ever
Same for
feeling like she's in
Milena, same
danger.
for Yelena.
Yeah, she survives shit that
Yelena
she shouldn't.
is
And-
retard. Yeah.
The argument against that 100% of the time is that, well, she dies in Endgame, and it's like I literally address it in my video where death and life are not the only valuable stakes that you can have within a film. Like you can have emotional stakes.
Personal stakes, yeah.
Yeah, when Thought and Zod, you're gonna know this. Watching Terriers, like the stakes in that show aren't life or death. Like it's just very personal. Like the stakes are about characters and how they interact with each other, especially Hank, Britt, and what's her name? Katie. Yeah, and like those three characters are the main ones that are like invested in their relationship, and I'm way more invested in their relationship than I am in like any of the stakes in Black Widow, which is like just trying to have these grandiose stakes, which is just doesn't work properly because none of it. I can't connect with any of it when the character just survives shit.
It makes sense. So,
yeah, pretty much. And like Terriers is like a show that's actually really well written in terms of characters, and that's why I connect with the characters so much, and I want them to, and I'm like invested in their relationships.
That's the thing with Mitchells and the Machine. The plot, the stakes aren't about saving the world as it's made very clear from the beginning that it's absurd. The stakes are much more about the Mitchells themselves, how their family is broken and how they are
The stakes are
trying to,
way more
repair
connected
it.
to Rick and Katie's relationship rather than them actually
The stakes
saving the
are
world.
much more personal than just saving the Earth.
Yeah, because we know they're gonna save the world, considering how the premise is, but
Because,
that's not really what matters. Yeah.
some of, if not the best character work in the MCU to this point.
What?
What?
You joke? No. Even if I discount Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as canon, we have both Guardians films. You have Avengers 2012. How can you say this is the best character work? Like Iron Man 3 has better character work, and that film assassinates Tony. Jesus Christ. Wow, that is a take, Griffin. I'm gonna need heavy references for that.
That is a take.
I'm gonna need him to develop the shit out of this point.
Beyond its debts to Daniel Craig's era of Bond or any other influence. And for what it's worth, we've got to acknowledge Lara Croft.
He just doesn't develop the point. Okay, Griffin. See, the thing about video essays is that you have to present your thesis and then your arguments. You can't just state something. You can't just say it has the best character work in
What?
the MCU. You just said it and
You
brush
need
past
to
it.
put a lot of effort into that, but yeah, you can't put effort into that.
Yeah, it's just
That
you
would
said
be
so.
retarded.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, and if you did actually have references, maybe you would have realized that the character work in this film is awful. None of the characters are consistently
Garbage,
with who
yes.
they are, and Yelena and Natasha are fucking assassinated when they kill all of those people with the avalanche. It's pretty insane how
Yeah.
terrible the characters are.
For being something of a trailblazer, alongside a handful of Bond women like Anya Emisova and Wei Lin for some of this material as well. But I think Natasha has really brought home what those characters were trying to do, create the equivalent to Bond. Natasha
Mm.
What?
No.
The
I
problem
don't think
is
she's
that
like Bond. Like, because this doesn't even feel like a spy film. I don't see why she's like Bond in any way. Let's see if he develops this point, but this is strange.
Okay,
to
I
me.
have one thing to say about female characters. Okay, so good female characters don't need to be action centered. They can be support characters, just like male characters can be support characters that don't fight. You know.
Mhm.
I just think competent or consistent is a good metric.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter
It
what they're
is.
doing.
Yeah.
Just strange.
Romanov is
Not
absolutely
even that. If there's a good enough development, character growth and research, I think it's fine. Even if the character isn't competent and all that.
Yeah, it's just as long as the character works pretty good. Yeah.
Yes.
create the equivalent to Bond. Natasha Romanov is absolutely, proudly a woman, but that is never the point of her character. Sure, she uses her beauty to her advantage for occasional spy reasons, but generally speaking, there's pretty much no individual moment in any of these movies where her actions, her abilities, are defined and certainly not tempered because of her gender. She's the spy for today's world, and
okay, this is strange. I don't get.
That's a
So the
strange
fact that
point.
she's a woman, but she's proud of being a woman, but the fact that she's a woman isn't highlighted. So her being proud of being a woman isn't actually brought up, or whatever. That means that she's the spy
why
to the
should
real
it-
world. I don't.
But
I'm
why
confused.
should it be brought up?
Well, he's
I
saying that it's good that
don't
it
get
isn't brought up, that it's not like
Oh,
it's not
okay.
impeding her, but like she's proud of it.
Okay.
But when is she ever proud of being a woman? I've never seen that.
No,
She is a woman, and
Well,
that's
she doesn't care.
That's kind of the point, right? Where it's like you don't need a woman's womanhood to be the defining moment of her character for her to be a good character. Like
Yeah.
I think it's a misconception. Now, what would be good is if they kept doing what they were doing with Natasha beforehand, where she was relatively consistent, just being a good, competent character that people liked because she was vulnerable while being competent, and she was the emotional center of the Avengers for the most part, which is kind of what I bring up in my
Yeah.
video. This film counteracts all of that. It like retcons her validity as all of those things, so I don't think the point stands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if this is the solo film we get for her, I think that holds true. If this truly is the last time we get
That's
to see
fucking
Scarlett
insane.
Johansson step into this role, Natasha Romanoff.
I mean, they only made this film because they still had one film left on her contract. So yeah, it's probably her last film.
Yeah.
importance
And that's sad
influence
because she's leaving on a very low note.
Yeah, if she had left on Endgame, that would have been great because she's great in Endgame.
Yeah, because she's great in Endgame. So
Going
is Clint. So yeah.
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 and influence are going to permeate the MCU forever. I loved Black Widow. This sits firmly in
Okay,
my
so this is the conclusion, but he didn't say anything. Like he didn't have any arguments. he had a thesis and a
didn't say
conclusion.
anything of value.
Yeah, he was bringing up he was bringing up topics, but he never developed on them. Which, okay.
Yeah.
top 10 MCU films. And yeah, part of that is because this is definitely the MCU film that is most up my alley alongside The Winter Soldier. In fact, even though Cap's second adventure definitely
Winter Soldier. Yeah, that film is not good, Griffin. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No.
Really tops my list, Black Widow might specifically be the film I most wanted without even realizing it. Of course, like everyone else, I believe that Natasha's solo film should have come 5 or so years ago, and I think it's a real tragedy that we hadn't gotten a trilogy of Black Widow films up until this single movie. Natasha, Scarlett Johansson, and the audience truthfully deserved better. And I think a lot of the problems that come packaged into this film could have been remedied had this come out right after Civil War. Again, we should have at least gotten this film in between that gap of Civil War and Infinity War, or at least before Natasha's death in Endgame. And yes, when we all go back and marathon the MCU in years to come, this is going to join the first Avenger and Captain Marvel as one that we shift in the rotation out of release order, as that's where it most makes sense. But taking issues I have with Marvel Studios' treatment of the character out of the equation, I think this is just about the best Black Widow movie we could have possibly gotten, and it was more than worth the wait. Even though it might not make a lot of sense at this point, more Black Widow prequels are something I'd welcome, and probably would be a big hit for the MCU, given how warmly received this has been. And I mean, come on, give us the Daddy Harbour Red Guardian trilogy, please.
No.
I really think that this film improves.
I'm just going to repeat no, because
fuck no. I think it opened things up in an unexpected direction and allowed the franchise to reach higher. Director Kate Shortland deserves endless praise for what she pulled off with Black Widow. Her vision is a massive part of what makes this film work. The MCU is notorious for sticking to its house style, but Shortland has found a way to bend that style into her own sensibilities while keeping her film copacetic with the rest. It's no secret that Marvel slates these films about 60 years into the future.
Can someone
and the
give me
upcoming
the definition, please?
Yeah, copacetic means like in unison, like consistent with.
Yeah.
I mean, not.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, not in terms
say
of
no on that
internal
one.
consistency. In terms of writing and logic, no, definitely not.
Yeah. The term copacetic basically just means like in excellent order. So it's an excellent order with the rest.
Okay, Griffin.
Yeah, no.
You know how they retcon the fact that I guess Hydra had the ability to mind control their Winter Soldiers, or just their soldiers in general, or even fucking Captain America, in 2012 when he was working for them in Avengers. Yeah.
Okay, it's coming in 4.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sad. They're going to ruin Clint. Oh no.
Yeah.
But
suck.
Hey, okay, this year we still have like 3 Marvel films and 2 TV shows still to come out. This year is fucking insane in terms of MCU.
okay, is one of my favorite Avengers in comics. So yeah, he wasn't treated really good.
I like how Taskmaster
treatment
wasn't mentioned
isn't really
once.
good in the MCU, but yeah. Go ahead, Thought. What were you going to say?
I just like how in this essay, Taskmaster wasn't really mentioned.
Of course he wasn't.
Hey,
or Dreykov, for that matter.
Yeah, this is strange. Just talking about Natasha as a character and having very wrong references.
Are exciting, but maybe Marvel Studios should look to Natasha for some extra inspiration moving forward. Simply put, Black Widow is the manifestation of Natasha Romanoff's legacy.
No, it's not. It's like butchering her legacy.
It's not.
It's complete opposite.
I hope it's not.
The long-awaited and hard-fought affirmation that this character, the heart and glue of the Avengers, proudly stands shoulder to shoulder with her male peers. Oh, and Florence Pugh is a fucking star, and she more than deserves her own Black Widow trilogy going forward.
No. Yelena is a terrible fucking character. I love Florence Pugh, but she's a terrible character in this film.
Yes.
Yeah, just no. I'm sorry,
Griffin. Yelena. She's such a retard.
Yeah, she's a terrible fucking character.
What do you mean? She did a little giggle when all of them died.
Ha!
That's a fun way to die. Fuck you, Yelena. Go down in an avalanche to see if it's fun. Fuck
Such a
you.
poser.
Fuck you, Yelena.
Wait, a Black Widow film inspired by Moonraker? What the f?
What? Okay. Well,
What?
that was a video.
Yeah, because they put a Bond
was-
film in the actual film, so that probably made him nut or something.
Was that Moonraker or the man
I'm
with
pretty
the
sure it was
golden gun?
Moonraker, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
It
they
was.
vividly name dropped the word Moonraker, so yeah, that was it. I haven't
yeah,
seen the film.
yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Mm.
pretty sure that was it.
Well, like
What I
actually
learned
having
from
Natasha
this-
watching Moonraker in the movie.
Yeah, and she knows all the
Oh my
words,
God.
which I
Why
guess
would
is
she?
like, see, she's like
Oh
Bond.
no, is that foreshadowing for the Red Room? Oh no. Oh no.
I mean,
I
made
don't,
him.
I don't
Yeah.
know, but when she was in her little thing, the movie she was watching on the laptop was Moonraker.
Yeah, but is it foreshadowing for the Red Room being what it is?
I'm potentially,
Yeah, shit.
which would be odd.
Which would be funny, but this is the best way to foreshadow our villains. Yeah. Are
Alright,
you
we're
guys?
gonna
I
have
really like this one.
We still have one more video we could cover. I want to know if everyone's alright.
I think
What?
I'm going to stop now. Yeah, it's getting a bit
worries.
late, so
All right.
No problemo.
Well,
Do you,
so
if
what-
you want to, do you have like a channel you want to plug or something before you exit?
no, nothing. Just follow me on Twitter. Yeah, it's Thuglas Elboso.
Yeah, I'll put the
Yeah, it
Twitter
is.
in the description once the stream is done.
I have some
Uh,
Tismy takes, so
It was nice to meet you, Douglas.
yeah, it was nice to speak to you, Thought, and nice to speak to you all.
Yeah, it was nice having you. Thanks for being here.
Right, see you.
See ya.
Take care.
What about you guys? You still good for another video?
Good.
Oh yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, nice. So, this is also a Griffin video. So, yay.
Have
Great.
you ever woken up
Another
bringing a
one.
Another one. It's about good old Loki. Hold on. Let me just...
No. Oh god.
And the video, yeah, as you can see from the thumbnail, best yet. And the video is
Okay.
called
Have you
I
ever
was wrong
woken up-
about Loki. So, yay. So let's see,
Pain.
let's see what he says.
Have you ever woken up one morning in a sweat of existential dread, questioning the very purpose, the very meaning, the very
Hey, I like the
reason for your own existence
inside
and
clip.
the beliefs you thought to be unwavering?
Yes, when I watch Loki, that's what
Through
I
recent
felt.
personal experiences, relationships, and conversations, I found myself contemplating more and more about the extent to which people subscribe to an ideology. So many people
Like the way you critique films, Griffin. I don't know, just throwing that
blindly
out there.
follow a predetermined path because it's all part of the grand plan. It's their glorious purpose. I've been thinking about this a lot.
Should have put words on
lately,
screen there
Yeah.
when he says
especially
glorious
as it
purpose.
pertains to organized religion and the deeply flawed, hypocritical nature by which those organizations operate. Considering that so many life-changing decisions and the manner in which so many choose to follow through with them are direct dictations of a church operated by randomly appointed old men who know what's best for you, what God wants for you, and who insist that to think otherwise is eternal damnation. Millions of people consent to this mantra because it's either how they were raised or out of fear of losing their family and loved ones, and it's just accepted that this is what you do. And the irony of all this
This is a weird way to start a Loki video. This is extremely like, what the fuck is he even talking about? I was
Well,
wrong about
just-
Loki, and he
he
starts
gets into
talking
it,
about religion. It's like, chill, dude. It's just
It's
a
all
Marvel film.
connected.
Ah, yes, I
It's
can't
all
wait till he
connected.
talks about the
Yeah.
deeper themes about religion and Loki.
Well, you see, Loki is actually a commentary on Catholicism.
Of
Okay,
course.
that's the thesis.
Of course.
is that so many of these rules and restrictions you must abide by contradict the empathetic and loving nature of the very faith they believe in. For a while, I felt frustrated and confused. I saw so many people change who they were because their religion or political party
Hold on, Thought, did you misspell religion?
frustrated and
Hey,
confused.
you're not
I saw
supposed
so
to
many
point that
people
out.
change who they were because their religion
Legend. The intellectual
Oh,
strikes
man.
again. Fuck's sake.
I thought you wouldn't see. I tried to slip it in without anybody notice.
Hey, thought you know I always notice that kind of shit. That's amazing. Real legend.
You didn't notice that I misspelled Taskmaster in my Black Widow video.
What? No, I did. I pointed it out, and you said you do that. You did that for a
Oh, I
reason.
remember that now. Yeah.
Dumbo.
That's right. Yeah,
Party
I'm
said
sorry.
otherwise.
Political party. So did Griffin not notice, or was he okay with this typos?
I don't think you noticed.
Oh, okay. So now we're pointing it out. Hey, Griffin, if you're watching this.
No, don't tell.
I wonder, maybe I wasn't getting something, or maybe I was just flat out wrong. But then, why do we have free will? Most people want easy answers to everything, and those who do don't value freedom and free will. It's all they've known, and yet choose to ignore it. And ironically, they're the first to raise hell the minute they think something might displace or take away those freedoms. I was really at a loss, struggling to come to terms with the existential dissonance around me.
I
when out of
like the
blue,
inside clips you're using. They're making me very happy, Thon. I'm proud of you.
the MCU show I had the least faith in, the show I was so disinterested in, Loki, heard me and chose to actively engage in a conversation about it. Are we destined to stay the same, or can we break the cycle and defy fate as it seems to bear down on
He
us?
doesn't. He starts a multiverse that is controlled by Kangs. He doesn't really defy fate. The fact that he gets to Kang's fucking citadel at the end of in episode 6, that means that he's following the script. He's not defying fate.
Yeah, he's well, okay, I'll have you know, this video was published before episode 6. No, wait. No, I don't think it was.
No, I think he was. Yeah, I think you remember saying that it was made after episode 5, because that's usually what he does, right?
Whoa.
No, I had King clips in there.
So,
Wait. Just keep playing the video.
As silly as it sounds,
Well, the video came out 5 days ago, so definitely was released afterwards. So.
I immediately thought back to several of Loki's lines from the Avengers of
Freedom is life's great lie. It's the unspoken truth of humanity that you crave subjugation.
and realized he wasn't quite wrong.
Well, kinda. He was saying that you manipulate people because he wants to rule over them. But what he says is true. But he still wants them to continue believing in that because he wants to be adored and revered as, you know, king of Earth. So it's not really what he's not really criticizing religion. He wants them to continue believing in that so that he can control them. Bit different, but you know.
Loki is much more likely to be the religion cult leader as opposed to a blind follower.
Oh,
Breaking
yeah.
free from the mold.
Mm-hmm.
Fittingly, this plays the show's central conflict. The alternate timeline 2012 version of Loki, immediately after stealing the Tesseract during Endgame, is captured by the Time Variance Authority because he
I
altered
love how they have this slow motion thing that they never use again in the entire show.
the sacred time
Yeah. It's so annoying.
line. Loki isn't supposed to get the Tesseract in any version of 2012's Avengers.
Why? Literally, cause and effect. What the Avengers did apparently was meant to happen, and that was the cause, and that generated the effect of the Tesseract being with them. And if that was not meant to happen, then why was the Avengers traveling back in time to meet Howard Stark and get the Tesseract way before in time and more Pym particles? Why was that meant to happen? Because that happened as a result of Loki getting the Tesseract. So again, that makes absolutely no sense, Griffin.
Because without it, they don't have their show, and well, we couldn't have that happen.
The TVA takes no time in revealing itself to hold control over the time-space continuum itself. Even the most trivial alterations of a timeline of someone's destiny results in whoever committed the violation to be branded as a variant and their changes pruned. It's a near instant
Yeah, and it's
allegory made
awful.
Yeah, it's like these people who did nothing wrong from their perspective, you're just killing them. It's like, wow.
they didn't even like know about any of this. It's like you get pruned if like you just are late to work one day and
Oh.
you weren't supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is that like?
Or even stepping on a wrong leaf, like Mobius says in episode 4, when Loki and Sylvie touch each other, the variance,
Marcus,
what?
Imagine you're asleep, okay?
Okay.
And you wake up and you need to take a piss, all right?
All right.
And you go to the bathroom. If you whip it out even a millisecond before you're supposed to, the TVA is zapping you up.
Oh no.
There's no screwing with the timeline here, man.
Yeah, my piss has gotta land perfectly. But
Yeah, if you aim wrong, pruned. If you fart too loud, you're dead.
Amazing.
Dude, imagine answering for that crime.
Yeah, but like,
do you plead guilty for pissing in the wrong direction? According to the
I mean, if you say so, TVA. But like one thing that is actually like a real defense in the real world to get your sentence diminished is ignorance for the law. So for like you're being judged about X or Y law, and if you don't know that it existed, your sentence could be made smaller
Reduced.
because of ignorance to the law, and that's actually a defense that you can use. And with the TVA, it's like they'd have no clue about any of this. All they did was what is best for their survival, at least. Like, from Loki's perspective, he got the Tesseract because otherwise he would be locked in Asgard for the rest of his life from his perspective. So, of course, he's gonna want you to leave. So it's like, oh, what did you do wrong? Well, nothing. Like, well, I mean, he did a lot of shit wrong, but in New York, he killed a bunch of people. But in terms of, like, what he did with the Tesseract, that's, of course, what anyone would do in that situation, or especially Loki.
Now here's my question, right? It's like, okay, cause and effect is very important when you make decisions. And within the function of the world, the TVA knows that if Loki will pick up the Tesseract, that he will use it to teleport away.
Yeah.
So I don't know why the TVA waited until he teleported instead of just getting him before he even picked up the Tesseract. That does not make sense to me.
Well, it also doesn't really make sense how him getting the Tesseract wasn't supposed to happen, but the Avengers losing the Tesseract was because, like you said, cause and effect is a thing, right? So if there is a cause, there is an effect, and if there is an effect, there is a cause. And the cause is created by the Avengers.
If you're an MCU writer, that rule is actually not
true
valid.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we haven't, like, for example, in episode 6, when they passed the threshold, as Kang puts it, and like new timelines start to exist, and Kang is killed, and like new timelines exist from the beginning of time, but that doesn't make sense because they're at the end of time. So if any timelines start to diverge now, then it would be just for the end of time, not from the beginning of time. So like the new TVAs, they make absolutely no sense to exist. Like that TVA that was being controlled, that had like the Kang statue at the end where Mobius didn't know who Loki was. Like that should not exist, because the new timelines wouldn't be able to exist from the beginning of time, since they are at the end of time. All they had to do to fix that was being at the beginning of time. That have that scene instead of being at the end of time, have it be at the beginning of time, and have it be that it's a causal loop, and then boom, it works. But you know, it's Loki, so it doesn't make any sense.
Towards institutional religious extremism. What the timekeepers say is right, is the truth, and any deviation from that is destroyed. The TVA accomplishes this via the use of agents who unilaterally operate without asking questions, blindly following the timekeepers and their beliefs. Driving this even further home, the agents are literally brainwashed, abducted by the TVA, and deluded into believing that they have been agents from the moment they were born, when, in actuality, they're all just ordinary people. This is really, really heavy material for the MCU, and
if you say so.
Really stupid.
Yeah, I think that's you. But like, it seems like he's just projecting onto the TV show, because I don't think the TV show thought that much about it. Like even their conversation about free will in episode 2 between Loki and Mobius is like 2 minutes long, and they just dismiss it because like, well, we acknowledge the free will thing. Now let's move on. Like this is not heavy. Like they're just like lampshading most of the stuff he's talking about.
Loki is unlike any of its properties, both in tone and how quickly it establishes its commentary. Sure, we only had 6 episodes to work with, and things have to move along at a decent clip, but by establishing its themes and what its
This frame is hilarious. I thought I'm so glad you did this. The themes. I remember you sending me a screenshot of this. This is hilarious. Themes.
My themes.
I'm gonna tweet this frame out. This is amazing.
it's trying to say. First
It was fun to
scenes of the
make.
First episode, the series has also found the time to take breather moments that have never felt like filler, and instead deepen the character.
What? Never felt like filler. Can you tell me a single thing of worth that happened in episode 3, Griffin? A single thing. Like, what does that episode establish? That Loki's bi, and yeah, that is it. Oh, and that the TVA agents are variants, even though that's something they explore further in other episodes. So that was pretty pointless.
I love this frame. Look at Sylvie's face.
He's about to bite his finger.
That needs to be an emote.
Oh yes, bite his finger.
Look, she was really hungry that day. Okay.
Yeah, dude, she's about to go down on that finger.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, it's incredible.
Of Loki, understanding of him, and why Loki is, pardon the religious pun here, a miraculous series for the MCU. Let me make something clear. This show is not just a dour, 6-long criticism of organized religion. Loki is an incredibly...
It is not a criticism of organized religion at all, but, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But it is pretty dour. I kind of hated every second of it, so... Hey, at least a bit
Oh
of it.
yeah, I was either bored or horrified.
I suppose you could say it's a criticism of organized religion in the sense of how the TVA operates, but I am of the opinion that that's not what they were going for. And if it was what they were going for, it much more represents Scientology before any sort of like Abrahamic religion.
Yeah. Yeah, it also seems to be going way more about no, if it was gonna talk about that, which I don't think it is, it's more like quotes instead of just, you know, like I said, Abrahamic religions. And it's not like this is Empty Man. This is just a TV show about the supervillain being sent to the end of time. Like, I think you're looking maybe
No,
a bit too deep into it.
the Empty Man is a criticism of cults.
Yeah.
Far more than Loki is.
I mean, yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I mean. It's like Loki is an empty man. It's more like it's Marvel sludge, you know, like the usual action-packed shit with minimal characters and retarded fucking jokes.
Yeah, The Empty Man is great though. So.
Yeah, good shit. Good film.
Fun travel epic that spans as many planets as it does points in time. Tom Hiddleston reminds us why his...
I mean, it spans as many planets as points in time, yes, because every time they travel in time, they travel to a different point in space. So yeah, you are correct, my sir. that's the kind of thing that on the surface, yeah, it sounds about right, but when you think about it, it's like, wait, yeah, obviously.
Presence in the MCU.
Avengers is a film about people teaming up to fight an enemy, and through that, learning the true value of friendship.
Oh,
Yes.
You're correct, Griffin.
Reminds us why his presence in the MCU is essential, and his supporting cast, particularly Owen Wilson as Mobius and Sophia Di Martino as the female Loki, Sylvie, rise to his level and then some. The energy and engaging pace of the show is never lost in the mix. It just succeeds in making you think while you're engaged with it.
Griffin, for the love of God, don't tell me you thought about this show while you were watching it, because if you did, oh my God, how did you end up liking it? I don't. Jesus fucking Christ, Griffin! Don't tell me that.
Well, it's like, so here's kind of what I think happens, right? You go into a show, and you start to kind of have this idea of what you interpret the film as saying.
Mhm.
So, or the show. So I think here he thinks it's kind of representing a critique of religion.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, what happens there is you start to view everything that happens in the film through that framework, and it turns every bit of information into confirmation bias. And if you do that, you can turn any film into anything you want, dude. Black Widow can be a criticism of veganism if you really want it to. Okay?
You can find enough
Think about the
references
pigs.
to like.
Think about the pigs.
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
find enough references to be like, oh, see, this is an allegory. Oh, see, they're talking about animals here. Oh, see how Natasha doesn't want the pigs to be killed. See, that's meaningful. Like, you could actually do that. And, like, that's actually a thing I talked about in my latest video with Wisecrack.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna pull that up.
Yeah, because Wisecrack uses a point from the philosopher called Donald Davidson, where he says that metaphors have infinite meanings.
Metaphor.
And by that, you could have infinite interpretations of, well, basically photographs or art itself, which is the argument that Wisecrack is using to say that Legion could mean literally anything. Which, if you're saying that,
Which
then...
isn't necessarily true.
No, yeah, there aren't infinite metaphors, but I covered that in my video. Anyway, the point is more like, well, if you do think that you could just interpret anything onto it, like, you're just, obviously you're gonna have to ignore some references to actually interpret this shit, but you're just kind of being really disingenuous with how you're interpreting it. Like, it's either confirmation bias or you just want to prove your point to other people, even though you know you're wrong. So either way, you're not really being truthful with either to yourself or to your audience by saying shit like this. Not saying that you're lying, Griffin, but like what you're saying here definitely isn't true about the show. Like, this is just, you saw something that seems to be sound about right, because I know you're like an atheist and you like hate religion and whatever. It's like whatever.
No, he actually doesn't. He's not an atheist.
He's not.
No.
What?
He actually goes on this like little mini rant at the end. We'll get there.
All right. Well, either way, it does
Okay.
seem like confirmation bias a lot here. Where I think, like, if you watch most of the show, the stuff about the TVA mind controlling them is really like a small part. And I don't think they try to treat it as a religion. Like, when you have a conversation between Mobius and Loki in episode 2, they kind of just brush past it. So I don't know. It seems kind of just you're projecting onto the video, onto the TV show, what you want it to be.
Which is understandable.
Yeah,
And
like, it
if you're
happens.
coming from the point of view that film is like an entirely subjective medium, that's kind of the hole you're drug into when you start to try and criticize things. And so I don't think he's being disingenuous with it at all. Like, I think he genuinely means what he says, but it isn't bolstered by the show.
With it. The reason the set pieces and dramatic beats work is because the show focuses on its interpersonal relationships, investing you in the individuals on each side of them, and then making you care about what they mean to one another and
Really? Like, you're just saying this as if it's true, but like, I hate every single character in the show, other than Richard E. Grant and Alligator Loki. Like, unironically, those are my two favorite characters in the show.
Yes, same.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like Richard E. Grant, Loki.
Yeah, he's great, and he sacrifices his life for nothing, but he other than that, for him it's meaningful, so good for him.
Yes.
how they're going to help one another. Loki gets the heart at its core right, and that's already punching way above WandaVision.
Just tell me why. I don't care if this is annoying me because he never says why. He just says things. Griffin, please. This video is 18 minutes long. Please tell me you make an actual point at some point.
Or that other show's weight. And once it accomplishes that, the series...
Didn't he like Falcon Winter Soldier? Or he liked, I think, episode 5? I don't remember the Falcon Winter Soldier video of his. Do you remember, Thought, if he actually liked the show or not?
Oh no, he did not like the Falcon and Winter Soldier. He thought it was bad.
Oh yeah, so I guess he just liked episode 5 then.
Well, so here's the thing. He disliked Falcon and Winter Soldier, but he loved all of the Isaiah Bradley shit.
Oh, so that's why that video was praising a lot of it. Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Requires the capital necessary for us to stay on board when it dives into its commentary. In challenging the authoritarian nature of I'm right, you're wrong hardcore beliefs of the TVA, Loki challenges organized religion and its stubborn insistence on the truth of beliefs. It's
not really about beliefs. They actually have a system of how they erase time. Like, most of what they said is true. Like, the timekeepers are just Kang, so like other than that, it's all true except for the fact that they're all variants, which doesn't really make sense. So it's kind of like, well, if that doesn't make sense, so obviously they're not gonna believe that it's true, like something that doesn't make
Yeah,
any sense at all.
the difference between something like the TVA and an actual cult is a cult will make truth claims while having zero way to actually verify what they're saying in any substantial way. And they rely on emotional manipulation and preying on, different, like, very intimate things in a person's life to keep them linked to the cult. But here in the TVA, 99% of what they do is actually substantiated. It's just that they're fascists. That's like saying, 1917 or fucking Shutter Island is like a commentary on cults, and it's like, no.
Oh yeah,
that's not true.
Yeah.
Telling that the TVA resorts to abducting and brainwashing ordinary people in order to create an army of agents, and then banishing anyone who manages to break back through the lie into a purgatory-like dimension.
No, they're not breaking back through the lie. Like, those variants that they recruited, for some reason they weren't killed. It's kind of like, well, why don't you just recruit Lokis then, if you had so many Lokis? Like, this is just... See, this is like the commentary, like, just like, yeah, from Griffin's perspective, it makes sense. The commentary the show's trying to make, but the story doesn't make sense with how they do it. And it's not incongruous, with what he's saying.
Yeah. Well, I think I kind of get what he means, like the fact that he's trying to keep it entirely subjective. But like as we're seeing here, the problem is when your subjective interpretation is not matched with the objective literation of what is actually occurring in the show. It's like, how valid are your points actually?
Yeah.
At that point, it's just picking and choosing.
Yeah, that's the point I have in my Wisecrack video. It's pretty just like, you need to have valid references for your interpretations. Not all of them can be valid. You can't just say that Iron Man showed up in Aquaman. And that's the example I always use.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
What?
if you take a painting and part of this painting is like an angel falling out of a cloud, and you're like, this painting is about angels falling out of clouds, and then you zoom out and it's actually a guy in a tracksuit making little baby dolls and throwing them into the sky. It's like, if all you want to pick from that whole frame is the angels falling out of the clouds, sure, but that's not actually what it's about.
Yeah.
The same thing goes with films and shows. If you only pick out the bits of information that you like or that substantiate your point, you're not really analyzing it the way it
you're just
should
really
be.
picking and choosing your references to substantiate your point, but you can't do that. Everything in the show has to either not contradict it or support the claim you're making. Otherwise, your claim is just wrong.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of the thing where it's like, when people like take videos of Obama and make him rap like a rap god or whatever, like taking the different words from every speech to make those clips.
Yeah.
That's like saying Obama is actually a really good rapper and he has actually sung Rap God before, and that's like completely taking it out of context. That's literally the exact same thing here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Something like the Catholic Church might not have time-bending and mind-altering technology in their hands, but they do have the power of Scripture and the threat of eternal
I mean, who knows what Pope Francis has in the Vatican archives? They might have TVA tech for all we know.
damnation and the like, which they use to provoke fear in their subjects, and that fear goes on to be passed from generation to generation. What do you do when this thing you follow, this thing you slave yourself to, turns out to not work the way you thought it did? Or even worse, turns out to have never really been
Yeah, but
there
that's
at
not
all?
what's going on with Loki. Like, he's not slaving himself to this organization.
He never believed in
willingly.
it from the first place. He thought it was an illusion in episode 1. So, I don't know.
Yeah, he was never in the cult.
Yeah, first he thought it was an illusion, and then he was like,
never
okay,
breaking
so I guess this agency exists, but do you actually believe that you come from these timekeepers, that they created you? And like, he's just like, no, Loki just does not believe in that, and Mobius is like, see, your past is exactly the same as mine, which is actually kind of like cult behavior, when he says like, oh, you come from frost giants, and you were raised by Odin, the god of, the god and king of Asgard. but like, which is a false equivalence. But like Loki never believed in any of it. About the timekeepers. So like when they turn out to be androids, it's just like, oh, the TVA are broken out of it, but Loki and Sylvie, they all they wanted was to kill the people who control time, which then they get to Kang, who is actually the person who controls time. So they don't really break out of any fucking mind brainwashing or anything like that. Mobius is the one who does kinda, but it's like he's told by Loki that they're taken as variants. Which I guess Loki would be kind of like the savior for them. I don't know. It's a strange metaphor that he's trying to get from in terms of a religion here.
Accept the truth and start living the way you believe you should? Or do you double down on what you've been taught by this thing, too far down the well to pull yourself out? Of course, there's the zealots themselves who, upon being found out, will stop at no less than scorched earth in order to preserve the lie, preserve their mass of followers, preserve their power. Do you think someone who commands the attention of millions has the power to make decisions with vast financial implications, receives adulation and reverence at the mere mention of his name or even just his title, really cares about the cause or whatever it may be?
Yes, Ravonna actually does care about the cause. We actually see her care a lot about it.
Yeah, that's kind of, and he kind of contradicts himself later in the video where, like, when he's talking about Renslayer, she says that, like, she believes in the cause so much that she's willing to stifle her own feelings about it for it, which is not exactly matching with, like, his interpretation of, like,
yeah,
the Pope
she
or
even
whatever.
says that there's only free will for one being in the world, which is she implied to be Kang. And then she says that she's going in search of free will, which contradicts that. But she does actually believe in the cause, so I don't really get it. Like, everyone turns against her, and she's still just on her own side when Mobius tells her that. So it's kind of like she does believe in the cause more than anyone. So this is just false.
Maybe they've wormed themselves into controlling? They let it define them out of arrogance and greed. The people they've subjugated do the same, but they do it out of fear to let go, having been turned into...
No, they don't do it out of fear to let go. They do it because they were brainwashed. They don't have fear. Like, Hunter B-15, she's shown her past life before she became a TVA agent, and that's what breaks her out of, like, the mind control, because she starts actually questioning about it. But, like, she has been brainwashed and her memories have been erased. It's not because she's too afraid. It's because she literally just doesn't know. Which, again, you're just projecting, Griffin. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Who they
Oh, by
are.
the way, I have to take off here in 10 minutes. So, just letting you know.
No problem.
With no way of knowing how to change. That's all explored brilliantly, especially through the eyes of
Brilliant.
Mobius in the way he contrasts with Renova Renslayer. Renslayer is like the Pope, or whomever you want
Wait,
to
he said Renova. Her name is Ravonna, but whatever.
equate her to, holding power over Mobius and over so many people. Although she is faced with moments of doubt, moments where a crack seems to form in the facade, however, it
She never
might
doubts
even
it.
just be a ruse in order
She never.
to one-up those who try to get under her skin. Hell, she doesn't even really
She
seem
doesn't
to
doubt it.
care
She just
whether or
doesn't understand it.
Yeah, she was like, I want to
Completely.
know about the
Yeah.
people who lied to me when she learns that the timekeepers were androids, right? But then what she does is she calls the agents to get Sylvie there. So she was just doing that to stall to get time for the agents to arrive at that place to arrest Sylvie. So it's like, no, she doesn't really doubt the cause. She just doesn't understand it fully, but she still believes in it.
not her belief affirmed or based in reality so much as whether or not they can maintain the TVA's strict social order. The ends justify the means. Mobius, on the other hand, is willing to change because the thing he thought he had served his whole life, this thing he believed in, thought was right, thought was just, turned out to be bogus.
Yeah, and why did he think it was just? He was like, oh, melting these people is fine, but when we send them to the end of time to be killed by a cloud monster, now that's way too much. That I can't be behind that.
That's just...
It makes no
Well,
sense.
you know, I think it's kind of the thing where the interpretation is sort of like, well, if I don't see them being tortured, it doesn't seem as bad.
Of course. If they die instantly instead of dying by cloud monsters, now that's much better.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine.
Mobius didn't arrive there automatically. He teasingly spars with Loki in episode 2 about how, on paper, both of their lives are a little bit ridiculous. Mobius is the time-traveling timeline fixer. Loki's the god from a space utopia whose brother throws a magic hammer and harnesses lightning. It leads into a discussion about how each of them believe their lives to have been real up to this point, and how that—
Yeah, but it's different. Loki can actually verify that his life is like that. He knows he's a frost giant. That's the kind of thing that this TV show kind of just ignores the first Thor film, but we know that he knows that he's a frost giant. He knows everything about his life, like he's lived his life. Mobius is believing something that's like, oh, I was created by this being that these beings that I've never seen before in my life. It's really strange.
It's also strange, kind of like why the TVA asks Loki if he believes that he has a soul when he's like getting checked in. Or if he like needs to sign everything he's ever said. Like I get it's an attempt at world building, but in practicality it's like they know the answer to all of this, and the whole point is he is a prisoner. Why are you asking open-ended questions to like someone you're convicting? I don't understand.
And it doesn't even matter because they're gonna be melting him anyway, or sending him to the end of time to be eaten by the cloud monster. So it's like, well, if you're gonna do that anyway, why does it matter if he goes through this process? Just melt him right away, you know?
that is a powerful thing to try and refute. Piece by piece, however, Mobius does—
No, it's not hard to refute. I just refuted you, Griffin. How hard do you think to refute it? I refuted you. Great.
Cover the lie. He puts his foot down when the lies collapse around him, and of course was squashed for it by the power of the institution. His pruning represents the persecuted, those who pulled at the thread of the tapestry and were cut down for it before they could make the whole thing unravel. And even when he comes—
Not really, because Loki was gonna be melted even though he didn't do any of it, but okay.
Back from his near oblivion, even when he makes one last appeal to Renslayer that they're living in a lie, that they can't take away people's free will, all Renslayer has to say is that the lie is necessary. She's in too deep to lose her faith, even when her faith is proven—
Yeah, and this is what you said when he contradicts himself, because like 2 minutes earlier he talked about how she doubts herself and how she doesn't really believe in the cause, but now you're saying that she believes too much, so great.
To be misplaced. But it's not just explored through the eyes of the TVA, we also see this through the eyes of Loki, and because this commentary and these themes apply to the protagonist of the show as much as it does the antagonists, it creates a narrative cohesion that drives the show forward. The show—
Narrative cohesion is not what I would say Loki has, but okay, Griffin.
Yes, it's about the first thing.
And the character recontextualizes the arbitrary hierarchy of religion into a fascist police state as personified by the TVA, and in the process, deconstructs Loki himself. And I mean, if deconstructing organized religion while deconstructing a literal god isn't brilliant meta-commentary—
He's not a literal god, he's an alien. That's something they point out in the films, but whatever.
Then what is?
Yeah.
Loki wanted to rule and deprive people of their free will because freedom is one of the most frequently violated tenets of humanity.
No, that's not why he wanted to do it. He wanted to do it because he believed himself to be stronger than everyone else, and he deserved his place at the throne. He deserved to be an equal to Thor. So what he was going to do his reason to rule humanity was to show to Thor that he is not only his equal, but also taking from Thor the world that he loves. And who also has the world that also has the woman he loves. It's really meaningful for Loki in regards to how he relates to Thor, and actually really consistent with Thor 1, which I really like Loki in that film as well.
The TVA is Loki's former ambitions played out at an institutional level, and it opens his eyes to what really happens when someone seeking that sort of power succeeds. Loki is forced to confront his existence, his belief.
Thought you misspelled existence. Existence. What the fuck?
Hey, look, if I'm spelling it phonetically, is it wrong?
Yes.
No. Existence?
Sure, thought. Did you actually do this on purpose? Because Jesus Christ, this is the third word already.
Not this one. This one.
Mr. Intellect.
No!
Amazing.
Stop! Don't take the screenshot, Marcus.
I already tweeted it out, don't worry.
No! Don't tag Griffin in the tweets, for God's sake.
Distance his beliefs in a
God, this is
myriad of
getting
ways,
rehired.
but most potently when he is pruned
What was
and comes
that?
face to
You're not getting rehired if he sees this.
No. Thank God
face
this
with
isn't
every
EFAP.
different variation of himself imaginable. The boy he used to be, the older man he will years upon years from now be, and everything in between. Loki is faced with the lives not lived, the lives lived similarly but with some different bends in parts of the road.
Yeah, kind of like how Richard E. Grant says that Loki could have survived Infinity War if he wasn't dumb, which then means, oh great, his death in
Yeah.
Infinity War is meaningless. Thank you, film. Not film, TV show, whatever.
mirrors of the darkest parts of who he
Alright,
has
I have
been.
to take
It's
off
a
now.
main
I'm so
force-
sorry.
No problem, dudes. Thanks for sticking with us.
Bye, Thought.
Yeah. See you
Uh,
later.
Marcus, DM me any more typos if you find them. Good
I
lord.
will, don't worry. Yeah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Thought.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah. If anyone wants to check out Thought's channel, it's not in the description right now, but it'll be after the stream ends. But I'm gonna leave in chat his video on Black Widow because it's actually a great video, which I recommend people watch. Hey, it's at 9K views, which is pretty good. Let me just get the link. And yeah, he also edited this video, so let's compare the editing from his own video and his video and this Griffin video, just see which one is better. But let's continue with Griffin's arguments.
to examine his very existence and where the way he has used it thus far might lead him. The older Loki, played to pitch perfect perfection by Richard E. Grant, who
Pitch perfect perfection. All right, but yeah, Richard E. Grant is good. I like him. Best part of the show.
Yeah.
I swear to God has
Absolutely.
more fun acting than any other performer out there, more or less takes on a sort of mascot-like role for the entire idea. He's the natural conclusion of what might come of Loki.
Throg, I think is the name of the frog Thor. He was actually voiced by Chris Hemsworth, which I think is funny.
If
Like they
he's-
got Chris Hemsworth to yell 2 times on the microphone, and then that was it.
Succeeds in his goals of controlling everything? It's not very pretty. If Loki continues on a path of seeking domination, all that seems to await him is a lonely seat on the throne, an old man atop a kingdom of nothing on an empty planet, a temporal viewpoint of his past, his potential being all that is left for him. Of course, he only even gets that much by realizing how deeply he screwed up, trying to fix his loneliness and find his family again, find human interaction again.
It's not really human, since neither of them are human. Whatever. I also find it funny how he shows that clip with the blanket, and that clip makes absolutely no sense because they're frost giants. They wouldn't, be cold at all, like ever, but whatever.
Where the TVA nabs him. It's not his destiny to be whole, to be loved. He is predetermined to be alone, that being the tragedy of Loki. Keep in mind, the very last thing Loki did before encountering the TVA was steal the Tesseract in an attempt to resecure the power the Avengers had taken away from him in defeat. But in reality, Loki really did these things as a cry for attention, for
No, he wants to survive. What do you mean a cry for
No.
attention? He's about to be imprisoned. Of course he's gonna leave. Cry for attention. Are you retarded, Griffin? Jesus. Cry for attention. Oh yes, I want attention. That's why I'm gonna get out of these people's attention, because I want to be free from them. It's really strange. Yeah, he's not a cry for attention. He doesn't want attention. Imagine if he gets attention and then Thanos finds out he lost. It's like, oh, you're fucked. Thanos is gonna kill you. Like, you failed Thanos.
That's not exactly the type of attention you want.
No, it's not. Jeez, what a dumb argument.
passion for a life outside of ruling. His time in the TVA has opened up the other side of him, taken off the mask. But it's not as if he's
No, it's not taking off the mask. It's creating an entirely new character out of nothing. Like, that's not actually Loki. Like, I'm sorry, but it's not.
free of the person he
Simpy. I support that name.
was before the TVA. And while it's old Loki who gets the monologue, the deep dive into his history, it's strongly implied that a similar fate is what found all the other variations of Loki as well. Loki himself, being a god, has a certain religious-like mythology attached to him as well. And yet, even
How? Explain to me, please. Because it's Norse mythology. At this point, we don't really believe in any of Norse mythology. It's why it's called mythology and not a religion anymore. It's kind of the same as a Greek mythology at this point. So if you could explain to me how there actually is some sort of religiousness about it, that'd be neat. Especially when we have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they actually, which I think is pretty neat, when they explain how the history with the Asgardians worked, was the fact that Asgardians came to Earth and humans couldn't understand what they were saying, and that's why humans thought they were gods, because they couldn't understand the way they talked. So they're just aliens. And like the films reaffirm that. They're just in one of the planets in the 9 realms. And Earth, Midgard is one of them as well. So it's kind of like they're just aliens. So I don't know what you're saying, Griffin.
in different forms, different times, different lives, a pruning and bitter loneliness in a strange alternate dimension seems inevitable. He's almighty, he's superior. If anyone has free will, it's a literal god.
He's not a god.
It's not God.
Like, even... Like, he's not even this... He's not even... Like, he's the son of frost giants. He's not even Asgardian. Like, you can't say he's an actual god. Stop. Just stop.
And yet, his own myth confines him. Of course,
What?
we know that's not true. It's the fight against this, the challenge to prove an alternative direction that justifies the show's existence. And while it's of course essential for our Loki to go on this journey, the show takes the time to provide a similar journey for old Loki. He's the one who really lights a fire under Loki's ass, sends him further on the right path, and his reward is to create a better destiny for himself as well. He uses the full extent of his abilities to fight off the shadow creature, showing that
I like
he
Richard
and
Grant Loki.
any Loki is more powerful than anyone, even the Lokis themselves, could ever have known. He has greatness within him. He can be more than what the
glorious
TVA
purpose.
in his past have tried to define him as. And just as the original Loki sacrificed himself to buy Thor an opportunity to survive in Infinity War, this Loki sacrifices himself in order to give his younger self a shot at victory, and in turn, the future he denied himself of on an empty planet for generations.
Yeah, I actually agree with this point. I really like Richard E. Grant's Loki. Like, his character is like, yeah, it's really good. He actually has character, and what he's doing makes sense from his perspective. And great acting from Richard E. Grant as well. Just good point, Griffin. Finally,
Yeah.
first good
Yeah.
point in like
Oh,
what
we
2
got-
videos.
Yeah, only took 30 minutes.
Old
Got
Loki
there eventually.
finds his glorious purpose. It's the final piece in a puzzle that our Loki first began to assemble when the projector in the TVA showed him the life he lived in another timeline. The scene where he sees his pitiful life play out before his eyes is so tragic because it shows what he's known all along. That
No, he hasn't known all along. Imagine if this was actually Loki, like I could definitely see him looking at this and be like, "What the fuck is this pathetic Loki? Like, I'm not this person. Like, I'm not the person who sacrifices himself for Thor. I'm not that person. Like, Thor betrayed me, betrayed my trust, as did Odin. Like, and I know that they hate me and that I'm not actually, their family. And like, I think he would become way more vengeful in terms of like, I'm not gonna become that Loki, whether this is true or not. And I don't believe he would believe it's true either anyway, but he does, I guess. And he just becomes fucking weak ass Loki, virgin Loki.
he's rejected, surrounded by lost, and is destined to fail and die. But then he meets Sylvie, a version of him unbound by blind ambition and driven by trauma, tragedy, and a true purpose. A Loki who
That's exactly what Loki is. He's driven by tragedy and true purpose and what was the third one?
destined to fail and die. But then he meets Sylvie, a version of him unbound by blind ambition and driven by trauma, tragedy, and a true purpose.
Well, he is driven by trauma, tragedy, and true purpose. Trauma being the fact that he was taken from as a kid. He was taken from his family as a kid by Odin, just as a peace treaty. So yeah, he's viewed as a lesser to Thor, and tragedy in terms of him causing his mom's death. The only person that actually values him, Frigga, he causes her death. So that's tragedy. And he has a true purpose, which was to be an equal to Thor, to be viewed as an equal to Thor, because, well, he thinks he's owed that. After, living their lives together and being, brothers, but even though he never got the respect he thinks he deserves. So that's his purpose, which is why he does what he does. And then we have his redemption arc, and that, spans till Infinity War, where he rejects that and to actually learn that he's an equal to Thor. When he says he's Loki Odin's son to Thanos, which is really good payoff. But, I guess Sylvie is more that than Loki, if you say so, Griffin. I don't fucking care.
A Loki who was robbed of her life by the TVA as a child and has had to literally grow up trying to stop them from doing it to anyone else. He sees that he can change, despite what the mythology around him and his instilled beliefs would rather have him think is true.
But you just said that he sees his own life, and he sees himself change through that life. So why do him seeing that he changes show that he can't change, that he hasn't changed, and then make him change to prove that wrong? That makes no sense, Griffin.
It's why
Wait,
when he falls for her...
Is it ever stated that she did it so they wouldn't do it to anybody else?
No, it was...
I thought she was just doing it for revenge.
She was for revenge. She says that they took her entire life, and that's why she was doing it. Which is why, like, when they're in front of the Citadel, she tells Loki, hold on, because I've been... like, you haven't been at this for as long as I have. Like, it's been years for me. Hold on a sec, because she's kind of nervous. Which is actually a moment I like, because it's actually, like, giving her somewhat of a character. Even though it's retarded later, but whatever.
Her, essentially
he's
falling
wrong
for
about that.
himself. It's not weird, it's beautiful.
No! No! No!
I'm sorry, I need to get a screenshot of it. It's not weird, it's beautiful, of the two of them kissing. I need the screenshot. Also, beautiful is written wrong. Thanks, Thought. Let me... Beautiful. Fucking amazing.
Amazing.
Jesus Christ, stop.
He falls for the best of what he can be. She's so much of a different person while being able to relate to him that it makes sense. None of us want to end up with a one-to-one copy of ourselves, but we also don't want someone who has nothing in common with us. More importantly, we want someone who can make us a better version of ourselves.
Well, yeah, which is why he's dating his sister now. Great.
For whatever their relationship may bring, Loki finds that in Sylvie. She's the one who can understand him the most, and Loki, while dealing with a Sylvie hell-bent on revenge, is the only one who could possibly understand and get through to her. Ultimately, Loki...
But he doesn't get through to her, though, in the final episode.
On the finals, but,
Yeah, like, she thinks he wants the throne, King's throne, and that's why she betrays him. So yeah, like it's just wrong. He doesn't get through to her.
Is the MCU's greatest show to date, because while the filmmaking and performances and production design and dialogue are all home runs across the board, endlessly enjoyable, but also masterfully executed. Oh my god, you remember that fucking oneer? The big oneer!
It wasn't a oneer though. It was 95% of it was CGI. Like, I could have shot that oneer. Like, if I was the DP, I could have shot that oneer, because it's like, what, you have spend like 30 seconds of them in front of a green screen, and the rest is just, well, let the CGI artist work on it. Like, wow, how impressive. Like, good job with the CGI artist for doing it, but Jesus, it's not like, it's impressive. Like, It's not like a Daredevil one or some shit. Like Daredevil season 3 has an 11-minute long one. I think that's pretty bad, pretty impressive, especially considering budget and everything. And this is like, oh yeah, high budget Marvel film does a oneer with most of it just being CGI. Congrats.
Tackling a character that we're already familiar with, someone who seemed to have been given the perfect ending in Infinity War, and finding a new angle with which to carry him forward.
No, he did not. They did not find an angle to carry him forward. I'm sorry.
No.
Thought in the chat is like, I can't freaking believe it, man. I suck at spelling. And yes, you do, Thought.
Time because they're branching off into new territory with a character who is otherwise dead in the rest of the universe. They aren't beholden to where the rest of the franchise currently is, and they can take bigger swings and try new things for what feels like the first time since the Avengers came out 9 years ago and consolidated all of these characters to the point of nigh inseparability. And sure,
What is this point? I don't understand this point.
Oh, I don't know.
Is he saying the characters have been static since Avengers, or at least Loki has been, which is just wrong because he went through an entire arc? Wait, I'm gonna rewind. I'm not sure what his point here was.
tackling a character that we're already familiar with, someone who seemed to have been given the perfect ending in Infinity War, and finding a new angle with which to carry him forward. At the same time, because they're branching off into new territory with a character who is otherwise dead in the rest of the universe, they aren't beholden to where the rest of the franchise currently is, and they can take bigger swings and try new things for what feels like the first time since the Avengers came out.
Oh, I guess he's trying to say that the show doesn't need to be as connected with the Marvel universe. It can just be like set anywhere and tell whatever story it wants, just with Loki as like the continuous piece that's gonna be in these set pieces, I guess. So I guess that's what he means, that now, like, because of Loki, because of season 1 of Loki and season 2, they don't really have to care about the rest of the MCU as a franchise. They can just whatever they want, which is not really exactly what I want to hear, but hey, maybe they'll tell a good story with season 2. My favorite stories in the MCU are unrelated to the rest of the universe, like the first Avenger and both Guardians films, so who knows.
9 years ago and consolidated all of these characters to the point of nigh inseparability. And sure, while the finale had hijinks with Kang, by the way, Jonathan Majors should get an Emmy next year for what he masterfully did in that finale.
Emmy? No, chill though, chill. Not an Emmy. That's a bit much. He got an episode and his character was garbage. He doesn't deserve an award.
Not what you were expecting,
And oh my god, Kang is going to
not what
in
I
the
was
MCU
expecting.
going forward, and ended with an incredible...
Oh, shit. Hold on a sec. Because Jab shared something with us in a group chat that I have got to show here. So, Vincent D'Onofrio likes a tweet that he reporting that he will reprise the role of Kingpin in the upcoming Hawkeye Disney Plus show. So, yeah, guess that's happening. Great. I'm so fucking happy now, right now. Imagine if they ruin Kingpin, dude. One of the best MCU characters. I'm in pain right now. I really hope they don't bring in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters. Just imagine them ruining Daisy or some shit.
That's worse than Loki for me.
Oh yeah, easily.
Incredible tease for a new season, Loki overall stands on its 2 feet as a self-contained, confident, and brilliant
How is it self-contained? It's tied. It's a TV show that's tied the most to the rest of the universe because it has to deal with the universe itself and reality itself. It doesn't really stand on its own. Especially like the final episode, it starts with quotes from other films. And the show only exists because Loki escaped from the Avengers, which was caused by Endgame. So that's just not true either.
Season of television. It's also not afraid to call into question the way beliefs can be warped and exploited in order to benefit institutional borderline dictatorship level power at a time where that kind of thinking is making a last desperate grasp as the advancement of the information age quickly dilutes it. That's an important conversation to have, and I think it's admirable that an MCU time travel show of all things is spearheading that conversation. The world...
But... I'm
Is it?
really
Is it
confused.
though?
Yeah, I don't think it is. I'm really confused about what the point he's making is, because I think if you look in terms of like history, the world is more atheist than it's ever been. People used to believe way more in Christianity, and like even Christians are way less religious than they used to be. So I think the age of the internet is actually helping people break out of that, because you have easier access to information. Therefore, you don't need to look for answers through religion. You can just actually, look for your answers, the answers you want. Like you can study like most ways of thinking, like philosophy. You could just Google them and think about them. Like that's how I did research for my wisecrack video. Like you don't need to actually just have a full-on class, or you don't need religion to teach you about this shit. So yeah, I think the world is just becoming way less religious as a whole. So that's kind of strange for me to hear, but all right.
The world is in a weird place right now. Maybe we've gotten past the days of crusades and executions and the complete destruction of science and art, but organized
Yes, we are indeed past the Inquisition. Congratulations.
forms of extremism, religion or otherwise, can and do still cause so much damage. I think about the people I knew who fell prey to the machinations of a church. Firsthand, I witnessed them go from compassionate and caring to selfish and exclusionary because that's what they're supposed to do. They didn't question the system. It's kinda depressing. I mean, it's 2021. Why are these institutions still allowed to misguide and harm the world like this?
No, because religion is defended by the state, but whatever.
There a way out? Does anyone even care? Thanks to this show, I think that the answer to both questions might thankfully be yes. And I hope that anyone watching Loki, who's like me, maybe having a crisis of faith or purpose, looks at the series and sees that you are, in fact, the captain of your own fate. And just because you deviate from a predetermined course of what you're supposed to do doesn't damn you. Quite the contrary. It's the key to becoming your own person.
Okay. I'm gonna say Daredevil season 3 did this like years before, or 3 years ago, did this exact thing. It was actually about religion because Matt is actually Christian. So, yeah, like this exact thing that he's talking about, it actually does that, and it is actually tied with the theme of the show of him not believing in God anymore, and like he has this purpose. He thought he had his purpose, but he doesn't. And he's actually doing following his own fate and whatnot. Like that show actually deals with it much, much, much better than Loki ever did.
In discovering your true glorious purpose.
Wow, that's cringe.
Look,
Alright.
I want to make something clear. I still consider myself a person of faith, but the hypocrisy of religious hierarchy and the way these institutions abuse the power their members entrust in them is something that has been weighing on me as of late, very heavily. And it's this concern that, to me, was at the heart of Loki, and part of why that show resonated so much with me.
I mean, fair enough. If you like, if that's what made you resonate so much with the show, I definitely get that. Like if you interpreted it some way, like I don't want you to take it away from that, but I think you may be projecting something that you wanted the show to be about instead of what it actually was about, Griffin. So yeah, overall, not a great video. But you know,
Again.
hey, I think, well, his video on Furious 9, I'm pretty sure it's accurate. The only problem is that nobody cares about Fast and Furious being bad, so like it's kind of a pointless video, but whatever. So yeah, those were the 3 videos we were gonna cover today, wherever you are and whenever you are. Yeah, this was fun. Love to talk about these properties. Hopefully, we'll talk about some good things next, ECUM, but who knows? I don't think there's many good things coming out. Well, the Suicide Squad is gonna come out, I think, in a couple weeks, so hopefully that'll be good, and we'll have actually like something good to talk about. So that should be fun. But yeah,
hopefully.
This was this is our first ECUM without Jeb for a while. He's betraying us. Is actually Thumbcast, is it still going? Because if so, I'm gonna put the link in the chat, so if you guys want, you can check out Jeb there talking about Spider-Man PS4, which, as it turns out, is apparently not a great game. as despite what people thought it was. So that's
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a take that's happening.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
don't
if you
care.
want to check that out, it's there. Yeah, us here we don't really care that much about Spider-Man PS4 story being bad, but if you want to check it out, if you wanted to see Jeb talking about it, and yeah, it's there. And yeah, Nyra, thanks for coming on ECUM. You've been a great guest.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Sorry I was late.
No worries. I thought it was late as
Fine.
well, so it happens. Yeah, I'm gonna put your Nyra's channel in the description if you guys want to check her out. And yeah, thanks everyone for coming tonight. It's been a pretty chill stream, and yeah, we'll talk to you all next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Fuck off my.